Chapter 1296. Okay, I will go with you when I am free. Yang Ming said after listening. Who wants you to go with us? We are sisters shopping. Isn't it inconvenient for you to follow us? Chen Mengyan had already changed her clothes. She was walking down the stairs with a small bag. When she heard Yang Ming's words, she added, besides, I am used to it. Yang Ming was a little embarrassed, but he remembered that he was not at home during this time. Chen Mengyan couldn't see him, so she would definitely be resentful. During this time, she was shopping with Lin Jiyun and Zhou Jejia. He wasn't by her side. She said that she was used to it to annoy him. Yang Ming naturally wouldn't blame her. Instead, he was a little embarrassed. What he did was said to be a serious matter, but in fact, it couldn't be considered a serious matter. It was true that he helped Chen Mengyan vent her anger. Therefore, Yang Ming naturally felt sorry for Chen Mengyan. Sister Mengyan. Seeing that Yang Ming was embarrassed and didn't speak, Lin Jiyun couldn't bear it. She carefully looked at Chen Mengyan. Chen Mengyan knew that Lin Jiyun wanted to plead. She secretly thought that Sister Lin was really a little traitor. I was so good to her, but she couldn't stand firm. However, who could say for sure? If others stood in the position of being hostile to Yang Ming, she would probably make a choice without hesitation, right? This was just human nature and instinct, so Chen Mengyan wouldn't resent anything. Instead, she listened to Lin Jiyun's pleading, so she said, but we still lack a driver. If you think you are still competent, I will reluctantly use you. After Chen Mengyan said this, she couldn't help but laugh. Her smooth white fingers covered her plump red lips. She laughed like a flower. She felt that she was somewhat insincere. She obviously wanted to ask Yang Ming to accompany them, but she was still stubborn. She was like a cooked duck. However, sometimes girls had to be stubborn in order to adhere to certain principles. Well, I guess this unlucky driver will not only not get paid, but also lose a lot of money. Yang Ming knew that Chen Mengyan was tough on the outside but soft on the inside, so he didn't tease her. I'll ask Sister Lin to compensate you later. Just treat it as an advance payment. Chen Mengyan smiled sweetly. She grabbed Lin Jiyun's shoulder and pushed her in front of Yang Ming. Well, I will be a free driver for Jiyun, but what about your share? Yang Ming accepted the proposal with a smile. He didn't care about Lin Jiyun, who was blushing like a cooked lobster. He pulled her to his side and turned to look at Chen Mengyan. Chen Mengyan didn't expect Yang Ming to be so shameless. She was a little embarrassed. She glared at him and didn't look back. She walked to the door, but after putting on her shoes, she told Yang Ming, let's talk at night. Then, she went out. This time, there were really only Yang Ming and Lin Jiyun left. Yang Ming was fine. Lin Jiyun was still shy because she was teased by Chen Mengyan. She was pulled by Yang Ming. She pursed her lips and didn't know what to think. During this time, he hadn't seen Lin Jiyun for a long time. He thought that they were not used to each other. Although she missed him, she didn't know how to vent when they really met. But fortunately, Yang Ming knew that Lin Jiyun had always been so reserved. He didn't care what she thought. He reached out and hugged her in his arms. Sometimes, body language was more effective than thousands of words. When you don't know what to say, then do something. When the two were sweating and hugging each other intimately, the topic naturally became more. From the school sports day to the art festival, they were all recent things that happened around them. Lin Jiyun didn't think that she had any talent, but the student union naturally paid more attention to her, the campus belle on the list. They forced her to perform a show. Lin Jiyun wasn't good at rejecting others, so she agreed after some hesitation. As for what to perform, Lin Jiyun didn't think about it. Yang Ming knew that this was the usual method used by the student union when it came to the popularity of the art festival. There was no other reason. Lin Jiyun was on the new campus belle list. Since the beginning of the semester, someone posted it on the school's BBS. Although it was only elected by the people, it represented the public opinion more than the school's official election. This was the result of the student vote, and it naturally reflected the students' hearts. Therefore, the school's student union put the idea on these campus celebrities. This year's student union president, Su Qianqing, was a smart person. His family background was good. His father was the boss of Songjiang Mining, and his mother was a cadre of the Communist Youth League Committee. He was the child of a standard cadre family. When he was a freshman, he was elected as the vice president of the student union. He was finally promoted in the second semester of his sophomore year. Because the former student union president had to go for an internship in the second semester of his senior year, the position was vacant. Su Qianqing smoothly replaced it. This semester was the first semester of Su Qianqing's new position. He naturally had to make the school's art festival and school sports day that the student union was responsible for. He must make the school leaders look at him as the student union president. Su Qianqing was not a pedantic person. On the contrary, he was very trendy. He usually paid attention to the school's BBS. He was not like some student union presidents who only knew how to please the school leaders. They studied hard all day long and made some things that praised the school leaders. Su Qianqing paid attention to democratic prestige, which was also related to his family background. Therefore, Su Qianqing's art festival this time directly cut off the rigid and meaningless conservative and old-fashioned poetry recitation programs in the past. He specially opened a section on the school's BBS to discuss the content planning of the art festival. He gave the initiative to the school's students and let them solicit opinions. Then, according to the support rate of each opinion, he picked out the most supported and the most opposed, and let everyone revote according to these. Therefore, the art festival had not yet opened, but the discussion about the art festival in the school had reached an unprecedented climax. It was much more enthusiastic than the previous years. Many people were full of expectations for this art festival. According to the students' opinions, the school's recognized campus belles must be on stage. Art was something worthy of appreciation and beauty. Then, were the campus belles not worthy of appreciation and beauty? Therefore, the idea of most perverted boys was that they couldn't find the campus belles to be their girlfriends, but they could at least feast their eyes, right? As a result, the calls for the school's campus belles to participate in the art festival became more and more enthusiastic. Su Qianqing had no choice but to agree to this and report it to the school. However, unexpectedly, the school leaders actually agreed to this suggestion after discussing it. This made Su Qianqing very surprised. He didn't expect the school's leaders to be so open-minded. This also gave him more confidence to go all out. Since the school's leaders were not old-fashioned people, then this art festival might be unprecedented in history. In this way, his name would be noticed by many people. Whether he worked in the future or continued to study at the school, it would be of great benefit to him. Thinking of this, Su Qianqing had to persuade the campus belles selected on the school's forum to participate in the art festival. After all, the art festival was voluntary to sign up for. It was not mandatory that everyone had to perform. He was not related to those beautiful women, so Su Qianqing couldn't ask for anything. Therefore, after suffering a lot of supercilious looks, he finally got Lin Jiyun. Su Qianqing had a deep impression of Lin Jiyun, a girl with a gentle mood. Unlike others who rejected people thousands of miles away, Su Qianqing had found a few girls on the campus belles list before. He was either mercilessly rejected, or they didn't want to see him at all. In particular, there was a girl who was rumored to be kept by a big boss outside the school. She didn't care about Su Qianqing at all. In her eyes, he, the student union president, was nothing at all. Therefore, with the previous comparison, Su Qianqing's impression of Lin Jiyun was unprecedentedly good. It could be said that it was super good. Su Qianqing had always had high standards. He didn't have a girlfriend in university because he was more outstanding, so he was more picky in choosing a partner. Su Qianqing only looked at the campus belles with a kind of appreciation because he was very clear that the girls now were too realistic. Just like the girl who was kept as a mistress, no matter how outstanding she was just a student. She couldn't enter the eyes of others that were full of desire. Although Su Qianqing's family conditions were not bad, and his father was the boss of a state-owned enterprise, he was considered to be working for others, but he earned quite a lot. However, Su Qianqing didn't want to show off these things because he felt that it was meaningless to pursue a girl like this. Therefore, he didn't intend to have a girlfriend in university. He would wait until he met a suitable one after work. However, all of this was broken at the moment when he met Lin Jiyun. Su Qianqing didn't expect that there was such a simple and lovely girl in real life. She would blush when talking to strangers. She was kind and not good at rejecting others. After a few words of persuasion, she reluctantly agreed. Unlike other beautiful girls, each of them cultivated to perfection. They didn't give him any chance at all. When they met, they blocked his words. For example, Zhou Jiejia of the computer science department, the only beauty in the computer science department. When he looked for her, she directly told him that she was busy with research and had no time. It made Su Qianqing embarrassed to talk about the next art festival. Of course, Zhou Jiejia was really busy. She didn't deliberately target Su Qianqing. However, in Su Qianqing's view, Zhou Jiejia deliberately avoided these. Therefore, compared to Lin Jiyun, Su Qianqing felt that this girl was simply too good. She was not arrogant and did not reject people thousands of miles away. This made Su Qianqing's eyes light up. Such a beautiful girl, but she was not contaminated with any social habits. This was very rare and valuable. Especially when Lin Jiyun blushed when she talked, it made Su Qianqing feel even more moved. This made Su Qianqing's previous decision change a little. If he could find Lin Jiyun to be his girlfriend, it would also be a good thing. Thinking of this, Su Qianqing secretly made up his mind. However, Jing Xiaolu of the art department also agreed to Su Qianqing's suggestion. She was quite straightforward, but she was very smart at first glance. Su Qianqing estimated that he might not be as smart as her. If he pursued her, he could take a detour. Therefore, Su Qianqing increasingly felt that Lin Jiyun was good. He decided to take advantage of this art festival to see if he could get closer to her. In addition to these beautiful campus belles, there was also a stronger voice, which was Yang Ming. In the first semester of Yang Ming's freshman year, the scene of the god of gamblers appearing could be said to be deeply rooted in people's hearts. The situation of beating Li Jiasheng and Lu Zhaojun made the students crazy. If these beautiful campus belles were the most popular among the boys, then the most popular person among the girls was Yang Ming. This person was also a character who must appear in the art festival. However, Yang Ming was elusive. Su Qianqing searched for several days, but he did not see Yang Ming's figure. He searched the dormitory and the class. In the end, he had no choice but to find Yang Ming's tutor, Xia Yongqiang. After asking, he found out that Yang Ming had taken a leave of absence. Su Qianqing had no choice but to tell Xia Yongqiang about the art festival. After Xia Yongqiang listened, he promised him that he would call him after seeing Yang Ming. Su Qianqing could only wait. In the past few days, he was almost exhausted because of the art festival. Until now, he had only planned for half of it. Therefore, there was the scene of Xia Yongqiang telling Yang Ming to actively participate in school activities. Xia Yongqiang just reminded Yang Ming first. As for whether he could participate in the art festival, Xia Yongqiang could not interfere. It was up to Su Qianqing himself. So, he told the news of Yang Ming's return to Su Qianqing. Lin Jiyun was relatively simple. Naturally, she would not think that Su Qianqing had any other purpose. She treated this matter as a very ordinary thing and told Yang Ming about it. After Yang Ming heard it, he was a little amused. People didn't agree. Why did you agree? Why didn't Jiejia and Meng Yan participate? How would I know that they refused? I thought that everyone had to participate in the art festival, so I didn't think much about it. Lin Jiyun was a little embarrassed. I haven't thought about what to perform. It doesn't matter what you perform. If you stand there, you will attract other people's attention. Yang Ming smiled. He sent Lin Jiyun to school first. Lin Jiyun had class at 10 o'clock. Yang Ming didn't know if he had classes. He didn't come to school this semester, so he naturally didn't know the timetable. First, he called Zhang Bin and wanted to ask where the class was. He didn't expect this kid to actually play truant and hang out with Wang Mei. Yang Ming hung up the phone helplessly and called Zhang Bin. I don't know if this kid came back to class today. Needless to say, this kid was more reliable than Zhang Bin. He was actually in class with Wang Shui. Yang Ming quickly asked the class and trotted into the teaching building. He found the location of the classroom and slipped in from the back door. The computer science teachers knew Yang Ming and knew that he was the younger brother of the dean. When they saw him slip in from the back door, they didn't say much. After a glance, they continued to lecture. Zhou Jiejia wasn't in the classroom. She must have gone to participate in a research group, right? Yang Ming sat next to Tian Donghua. This kid was reading a book with full concentration. When Yang Ming sat down, he moved his gaze away from the book. When he saw Yang Ming, he grinned. Boss, you're here? What are you reading, kid? Yang Ming closed the book in front of Tian Donghua and glanced at the cover. It was actually a marketing management book written by Philip Kotler. This made Yang Ming widen his eyes. This kid is actually reading this kind of book? Although Yang Ming didn't study economics, he knew that this person was a famous expert in the field of economics. His books were used as designated teaching materials for many MBA courses. What do you think of this? Yang Ming asked in surprise. In the future, you asked me to be in charge of such a big company. If I don't learn now, what should I do in the future? Tian Donghua sighed. There is no other way. If I don't learn now, it will be too late. I really didn't expect that you, kid, would have a day to improve yourself. It seems that this matter has also brought some benefits. Yang Ming smiled and patted Tian Donghua's shoulder. Work hard. Don't let me down. Don't worry, bro. I won't. Tian Donghua nodded firmly. I can't be like my dad. In this life, I am your man. In death, I am your ghost. Yang Ming felt a chill. He couldn't help but kick Tian Donghua. Don't say it's so disgusting. You should say this to Wang Shui. Don't say it to me. Tian Donghua chuckled and lowered his head to continue reading. This class was about the basics of computer hardware. Yang Ming now had some understanding of computers, so it didn't take much effort. It was just that the knowledge in the textbook was too old. It couldn't be helped. If the textbook was not changed, the lecturer still had to explain it according to the above. Yang Ming listened to the class while thinking about what to do at noon. He suddenly thought of Xiao Qing. He had told her on the phone that he was going to see her. As a result, Sun Jie's incident happened, so he didn't go over. Then, at noon, should I go and see Xiao Qing? Thinking of the possible romance, Yang Ming was delighted. The behind-the-scenes boss frowned and waited for the news from the Mount Jing police station. However, after the Mount Jing police station took away the videotape, there was no more movement. He didn't hear any news of Yang Ming being arrested. What's the matter? Is there a problem with the videotape? The behind-the-scenes boss looked at Huang Yukai, who was also at a loss. I don't know. Huang Yukai shook his head. The people I know in the Mount Jing police are too low-ranking. I can't find out anything useful. They don't even know how the case has progressed. Is the Mount Jing police so smart that they could see that the videotape was forged? Asked the behind-the-scenes boss. It's impossible, right? Even if it was edited, they should have brought Yang Ming back for investigation. After all, Yang Ming was at the scene of the crime. Yang Ming is still very suspicious. Huang Yukai said, I feel like something is wrong. The behind-the-scenes boss nodded. No matter how this matter progresses, don't worry about it anymore. I also feel that things are a bit strange. If Yang Ming is safe and sound this time, and the Mount Jing police didn't find him for any trouble, then he must have a relationship or something more important that we don't know about. Chapter 1297. Oh. You mean, Yang Ming has a relationship with the police? Asked Huang Yukai. This is hard to say, but I suddenly remembered one thing. The behind-the-scenes boss said, in the beginning, one of my collaborators was forced to flee from Songjiang because of the cooperation between Yang Ming and the Songjiang police. You mean, Yang Ming may be a member of the police? This is impossible, right? Huang Yukai was a little surprised when he heard the behind-the-scenes boss. He is just a college student. There are too many impossible things. Yang Ming is a college student on the surface, but his identity behind him, at least I know that there is another one. The behind-the-scenes boss sneered. This matter needs to be carefully investigated. If it is not handled properly, it will implicate us. Huang Yukai looked at the behind-the-scenes boss and frowned. He didn't think about what relationship Yang Ming had with the police. He had always regarded Yang Ming as a college student and didn't consider other factors. However, now that he listened to the behind-the-scenes boss, Huang Yukai fell into contemplation. He didn't know what the other identity was that the behind-the-scenes boss was referring to. Since the behind-the-scenes boss didn't say it, Huang Yukai wouldn't ask. The two people were just in a cooperative relationship. He wasn't the behind-the-scenes boss confidant. Some things could be said, but some things couldn't be said. Huang Yukai wasn't a curious person. Since the behind-the-scenes boss didn't want to say it, then he wouldn't ask. However, the behind-the-scenes boss words did inspire him. That was, Yang Ming might have other identities. He could actually participate in the case with the police, so he should be an honorary police officer at worst. In this way, it was reasonable that Mount Jing didn't take any measures against him. It was just that Huang Yukai was somewhat unwilling. Every time his plan seemed perfect and invulnerable, but in the end, it became worthless because of a small mistake. If this continued, his status and right to speak in front of the behind-the-scenes boss would weaken. This was not what Huang Yukai wanted to see. The behind-the-scenes boss arranged for Alice to be Yang Ming's classmate. He didn't expect Huang Yutsai's plan to succeed this time. To be honest, there was hope, but he couldn't have too much hope. From his long confrontation with Yang Ming, he could figure out a principle. Yang Ming, this brat, would always do something unexpected to disrupt his plans. For example, when he wanted to kill Wang Xiaoyan, this brat just had to appear, and more than once. The first time, he happened to appear in Macau. The second time, he actually lost one of his generals in Wang Xiaoyan's villa, which made the behind-the-scenes boss feel heartbroken. The theft of the treasure was supposed to be a huge setback for Yang Ming, but he didn't expect that his most proud disciple would be captured. He exchanged for the person, but in exchange for a corpse. The behind-the-scenes boss was so angry that he wanted to curse, although he didn't know who his mother was. However, the behind-the-scenes boss did not care. In the past, when he dealt with Yang Ming, it was purely for his own selfish use of power. The boss behind the scenes, Dr. Benjamin, didn't know about these things. But now, the behind-the-scenes boss didn't care whether Dr. Benjamin knew about this matter because the reason was very simple. The relationship between Yang Ming and Suya was special, and Suya was the person the behind-the-scenes boss wanted to monitor and investigate. To prove whether the current celebrity Suya was the little girl in the past, this breakthrough could also be made on Yang Ming. Although it was more difficult than directly investigating Yang Ming, the behind-the-scenes boss could use his power to avenge his personal grudge. He reported to Dr. Benjamin that Yang Ming was also one of the important figures in the past. The behind-the-scenes boss wasn't the only one who worked for Dr. Benjamin, so Dr. Benjamin didn't care whether the behind-the-scenes boss used the relationship between Yang Ming and Suya. He only had one purpose, and that was to find Sun Sikong, who had close contact with Suya. As long as he found Sun Sikong, Dr. Benjamin didn't care about other things. "Excuse me, is Yang Ming here?" At noon, Yang Ming came out of the classroom and was stopped by a boy who looked a little handsome and sunny. Compared with Yang Ming's fortitude, this person was too soft, but he would definitely get a lot of votes if he participated in a program like Super Male Voice. Yang Ming, this person is looking for you. Tian Donghua waved to Yang Ming and guided the person over. I am. Are you looking for me? Yang Ming didn't know who this soft guy was, and he didn't remember knowing such a person at school. Yang Ming, I finally found you. When the boy saw Yang Ming, he was obviously very happy. Let me introduce myself first. My name is Su Qinqing. I am the acting president of the school's student union. Because the annual student union election was at the beginning of the first semester, which was about September every year, although Su Qinqing took the position of the previous student union president, he had not yet gone through a new round of voting, so he could only be said to be the acting president. Yang Ming had just heard the name Su Qinqing from Lin Jiyun this morning, and he couldn't help but look at the boy a few more times. His appearance was obviously the kind that was more popular with obedient girls, but girls in university were more realistic. They had left the stage of high school where they had illusions of Prince Charming. Therefore, Su Qinqing's advantage was useless in university. Hello, President Su. Yang Ming didn't know why this guy was looking for him, but he spoke very politely. Obviously, he wasn't looking for trouble. Yang Ming couldn't reject people thousands of miles away. Student Yang Ming, are you free? Let's have lunch together. In the school cafeteria. Su Qinqing was a person with strong communication skills. He naturally said such a sentence to Yang Ming. This invitation did not seem to be abrupt. Oh. Yang Ming was a little surprised why Su Qinqing looked for him for lunch, but Yang Ming was also going to the cafeteria to eat, so he nodded and agreed. Okay, then let's go together. Su Qinqing thought that Yang Ming would ask him why he was looking for him on the road. In this way, he could logically say his purpose, and then take the opportunity to invite Yang Ming to have a meal to finalize the matter. However, now it seemed that this Yang Ming was very calm. If he didn't speak, Yang Ming wouldn't speak either. However, the more Yang Ming didn't speak, the more Su Qinqing couldn't speak. If he spoke on the road and was rejected by Yang Ming, then it would be a bit troublesome. It was better to invite Yang Ming to have a meal first. Everything could be discussed at the dinner table. Now, whether asking for help or asking for help, it was important to invite someone to talk at the dinner table. Although they were still on campus, the university was not far away from society. Su Qinqing naturally knew this. The cafeteria that Su Qinqing took Yang Ming to was not the kind of cafeteria in the lobby, but the school's third cafeteria. In fact, it was a small restaurant with independent private rooms. Students would hold banquets here for birthdays or celebrations. The business was very good at night, but there were relatively fewer people at noon. Most students had classes in the afternoon. They couldn't eat and drink here to their heart's content. They couldn't go to class drunk, right? Su Qinqing was quite familiar with this place. As the leader of the student union, he had a very harmonious relationship with the owner of the third cafeteria. Many of the student union's activities used this place as a fixed restaurant. Although there were only 2 people, Su Qinqing smoothly asked for a private room. He took Yang Ming in and ordered some delicious dishes that students liked to eat. Su Qinqing signaled the waiter to go out. Student Yang Ming, maybe you are surprised why I am looking for you, right? Su Qinqing decided to get to the point. This Yang Ming was really not simple. If it were another student, he would have already asked. In fact, Yang Ming was also wondering in his heart. I don't know why this kid is looking for me. Is it because Chen Mengyan and Zhou Jiejia refused to participate in the performance of the art festival? Does this guy want me to be a lobbyist? However, how does this kid know about my relationship with Chen Mengyan and Zhou Jiejia? Even if he knows, this possibility is relatively small. However, Yang Ming still asked, is it because of the art festival? It seems that student Yang has a plan in his heart. Su Qinqing thought, Yang Ming has already guessed my purpose. No wonder he is so calm. What do I have in my heart? Yang Ming didn't expect that his random words would hit the nail on the head. He didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Why don't you tell me? Su Qianqing nodded. He thought that Yang Ming was asking the obvious, so he said, I believe that student Yang must have seen the survey about the art festival on the school's BBS, right? Yang Ming didn't want to lie to him. He shook his head and said inexplicably, no, you should tell me in detail. No? This time, it was Su Qianqing's turn to be stunned. Really? Just now, he knew that I was looking for him about the art festival. Why did he deny it? I just came back from another place. It's the first day of school. How can I look at the school's BBS? Yang Ming spread his hands. He felt that this Su Qianqing was a bit weird. Yang Ming was getting more and more clueless. Why did this guy look for me? Aya, look at my brain. Su Qianqing patted his forehead and smiled. Yeah, I looked for you before. Your tutor said that you were not at school because you asked for leave. The campus's BBS belonged to the school's intranet. It could only be accessed through the school's internal network. The external network could not be accessed. Of course, a hacker master like Zhou Jiejia accessing it through a proxy was an exception. However, Su Qianqing did not think that Yang Ming would access the campus's BBS through a proxy. You looked for me before? Yang Ming glanced at Su Qianqing and asked. Yeah, I was looking for you before. Su Qianqing saw that Yang Ming really didn't know, so he no longer talked nonsense and introduced the situation to Yang Ming. Our school's art festival is about to start. It's just that this art festival is different from the previous ones. This art festival is entirely held by our students. We use a democratic voting method to determine the content of the art festival party. I know this. I heard it from my classmates. Yang Ming nodded, indicating that Su Qianqing could skip this and talk about business. Su Qianqing was afraid of being rejected these days, so he had to face it carefully. If it weren't for the previous school bells waiting for Su Qianqing to reject him, he couldn't invite Yang Ming to eat first and then make a request. Su Qianqing really wanted the art festival party. He planned to become popular, so he did not hesitate to work hard. The student union also had funds for activities, so a meal wasn't a big deal. This is the case. This time, the students' voices are the strongest. There must be a program. One is to let the school bells perform a program. Of course, this is the idea of the male students. As for the female students, they want you to go on stage and perform a program, said Su Qianqing. Me? Yang Ming opened his mouth wide and pointed at himself with his finger. Is there a mistake? What program can I perform? This is everyone's idea. Su Qianqing looked at Yang Ming's appearance. It seemed that Yang Ming was going to reject him, so he was a little anxious. Don't rush to reject. Listen to me, how come I never know what performance talent I have? Yang Ming smiled bitterly. Well, you say it. I'm listening. Last semester, didn't you have a contest with the vice president of the campus taekwondo club? At that time, you appeared like the god of gamblers, Gao Jing. You quickly defeated your opponent with a superb boxing technique. Your humorous words are still being talked about by the majority of students. Su Qianqing completely followed the original words on the school forum. So, everyone decided to let you perform again. This is a bit difficult, right? As far as I know, Lu Zhaojun has been arrested and sent to prison. Can Li Jiaxing let me beat him again? Even if I want to, I also need his cooperation, right? Yang Ming spread his hands with some difficulty. Puff. Su Qianqing was drinking tea. He almost spat out after listening to Yang Ming's words. Student Yang, you misunderstood. I don't mean that. I mean, let you perform a program. Any program is fine. This is also what everyone wants. It's not that you are going to beat up that Li Jiaxing. Oh, perform a program? You should have said so earlier. Yang Ming smiled. You just asked me to perform again. I thought you wanted me to beat him up. It's just a performance. Su Qianqing said, you can perform martial arts. This is also what everyone wants, martial arts. Yang Ming thought, these people really think too highly of me. At this time, it is reasonable for me to know some martial arts. When I just entered school last year, what martial arts did I know? Fighting with Li Jiasheng and Lu Zhaojun was completely opportunistic. He caught them off guard and won the battle. If you want to perform martial arts, why don't you find those people from the martial arts club to perform? Do you think I can do it? Student Yang, this martial art is just a gimmick. Your performance in last year's competition was really too eye-catching. What everyone wants to see is your eye-catching style. It has nothing to do with whether or not you actually know martial arts. Su Qianqing listened to Yang Ming and understood that Yang Ming might not know any martial arts. Last year's competition was completely won by luck. Then, I can perform anything? Yang Ming looked up and asked Su Qianqing. It's like this. Su Qianqing nodded. Anyway, the student's call was for Yang Ming to perform. As for what he would do on the stage, it didn't matter. Su Qianqing had also completed a task. Well, I will think about it and give you an answer. Yang Ming thought about it. Can I cooperate with others to perform? Of course, this is not a problem. Su Qianqing thought that Yang Ming was looking for an assistant or helper, so he didn't mind. Since Yang Ming promised to participate in the art festival, it was over. Then, let me think about it. Yang Ming was thinking about Lin Jian's problem. This little girl had a small face and was easily shy. She had never been on the stage before. Yang Ming wondered if he should act in a program with her to give her courage or something. Therefore, Yang Ming temporarily agreed to Su Qianqing's proposal. He was going to go back and talk to Lin Jian about it. If Lin Jian was not willing to go on stage, then Yang Ming did not have the need to perform on stage. Although this was a group activity, he had been very busy recently. How could he have time to rehearse? After all, it was something that the whole school was watching. He couldn't just go on stage and act, right? It was better not to go on stage. Okay, I have to think about this, but it will definitely not delay student Yang's study. When Su Qianqing heard that Yang Ming did not directly refuse, he was quite happy in his heart. After all, others directly refused. Yang Ming did not refuse, which meant that there was a way to do it. When the dishes were served, Yang Ming was not polite with him. Seeing that Su Qianqing was familiar with the restaurant owner, he knew that Su Qianqing would not pay for the meal himself. It was probably the student union's activity fund, so it would be a waste not to eat. Su Qianqing naturally did not know Yang Ming's thoughts. He thought that Yang Ming would be done after he ate this meal. However, there were many people who ate without doing anything. Yang Ming was not one of them. After eating and drinking, Yang Ming said goodbye to Su Qianqing and went straight to the computer science faculty building. Xiao Qing should be taking a lunch break. Most of the people in the faculty building knew Yang Ming. They knew that he was the younger brother of the department head, so no one would stop him. Yang Ming also went all the way to the door of Xiao Qing's office. He knocked on the door, but there was no response for a long time. Yang Ming wanted to use his special ability to see what was going on inside, but someone patted him on the back. Are you looking for Director Xiao? Yang Ming turned his head and found that it was actually Teacher Wang who taught him the basics of computer science. Teacher Wang? Yeah, I'm looking for Sister Xiao Qing. Yang Ming nodded. Director Xiao is in the research center upstairs. There is her office there. She has been working there for the past few days, said Teacher Wang. Oh, I know. Thank you. When Yang Ming heard Teacher Wang, he knew because Yang Ming had also been to Xiao Qing's dormitory upstairs a while ago. Some things happened there. Yang Ming naturally remembered. Chapter 1298. You're welcome. Teacher Wang waved his hand. He was called by Xiao Qing to talk last time. If it weren't for Yang Ming, Xiao Qing wouldn't take care of him and give him one of the outstanding teachers at the end of the term. Therefore, he was very grateful to Yang Ming. Yang Ming thanked him and turned to go upstairs. The computer room and laboratory of the Computer Control Center were upstairs. It was an important research area. When Yang Ming came last time, Xiao Qing brought him in. However, Xiao Qing gave him an IC card, so he could enter directly. Yang Ming wanted to give Xiao Qing a surprise, so he didn't call Xiao Qing in advance. Now it was lunch break. Xiao Qing was probably resting in the dormitory. Yang Ming wanted to tiptoe in and hug her. The computer room and laboratory weren't full of computer science teachers. There were many students, but they didn't ask Yang Ming much. After all, Yang Ming had the IC card here and could enter normally. Who would care about this? Yang Ming found the door of Xiao Qing's dormitory. He pushed the door and found that the door was locked. He didn't need to knock on the door. He directly took out the key and easily opened the door lock. There was no IC card on this floor. He couldn't even enter the corridor door, so Xiao Qing's dormitory door was just an ordinary iron door. It wasn't a special anti-theft door. Therefore, Yang Ming didn't need to spend much effort to open the door, and it didn't attract the attention of others. Xiao Qing lived in a dormitory like a hotel. The outer room was a bathroom, and the inner room was a bedroom. Yang Ming closed the door and walked to the inner room. The inner room wasn't locked. Yang Ming gently pushed, and the door opened. Yang Ming saw Xiao Qing lying on the bed at a glance. It seemed that Xiao Qing was asleep. Her eyes were closed, and her breathing was even. Yang Ming came in, but he didn't wake her up. Xiao Qing explained problems to Zhou Jiejie last night until dawn. She didn't have time to rest in the morning, so she took a nap at noon. Zhou Jiejie originally wanted to sleep, but she was helpless. When she was eating lunch at noon, she accidentally stained her sleeve. Zhou Jiejie was a girl who loved cleanliness, so she let Xiao Qing sleep for a while. She went to the bathroom outside to wash her clothes. Yang Ming came in very quietly. Zhou Jiejie was in the bathroom. She didn't notice that someone came into the room. Yang Ming walked to Xiao Qing's bed. He looked at Xiao Qing, who was sleeping. He couldn't bear to disturb her. It seemed that Xiao Qing was tired. Yang Ming knew that Xiao Qing wasn't a sleepy person. Now that she was sleeping at noon, she must have been too busy with work. Thinking of this, Yang Ming gently took off his shoes, got on the bed, and lay beside Xiao Qing. Xiao Qing's bed was a single bed, but it was also very spacious. It was wider than an ordinary single bed in the dormitory, but narrower than a normal double bed. It was in between the two. So when Yang Ming lay on it, it didn't seem crowded at all. Besides, both of them weren't fat. When they lay together, there was still space on the bed. Yang Ming didn't dare to disturb Xiao Qing's rest. He stretched out his arm from behind Xiao Qing and hugged her in his arms. Xiao Qing was thinking about the work in the afternoon. Naturally, she couldn't sleep well. She felt that her body seemed to be hugged by someone. Xiao Qing was shocked. She turned her head and opened her eyes, but she saw Yang Ming. Xiao Qing had some doubts. Why is Yang Ming here? Didn't he go to another place for business? Besides, Zhou Jiejie and I live together. How can Yang Ming hug me without any scruples? Thinking of this, Xiao Qing was a little dizzy. Am I dreaming? Yes, it must be. I must be dreaming. As the saying goes, what you think in the day, you dream at night. In the morning, she just talked about Yang Ming with Zhou Jiejie, and it also aroused Xiao Qing's longing and concern for Yang Ming. Although she couldn't express it in front of Zhou Jiejie, she quickly placed it in the dream. However, even if it was a dream, it was still good. Xiao Qing's heart was relieved. Her eyelids closed slightly, and she was in a half-awake state. She felt Yang Ming's body temperature and breathing, but she continued to dream. Xiao Qing turned over and became face to face with Yang Ming. Her plump red lips were slightly raised, which was very attractive. Although Yang Ming was afraid to disturb Xiaoqing's rest, he still couldn't help it. He kissed her lips, but he didn't dare to continue to do anything. He was afraid to wake Xiaoqing up. Xiaoqing's lips were sealed by Yang Ming. Her eyes opened slightly. She glanced at this side and closed again. However, she began to kiss with Yang Ming. She completely regarded herself as sleeping. Her brain was also in a dormant state, so she didn't think too much. Instead, she vented all her longing for Yang Ming in this dream. She also responded enthusiastically to Yang Ming's kiss. Yang Ming wasn't in a hurry to do something else. Instead, Xiaoqing could still kiss him while sleeping, which made Yang Ming feel very interesting. Xiaoqing wouldn't be dreaming of kissing me, right? Thinking about it, it must be like this. Connecting dream and reality together is a very interesting thing. Zhou Jiejia finished washing the clothes and hung them on the hanger in the bathroom. Then, she washed her face, pushed the door and walked out of the bathroom. She planned to sleep for a while. There was still more than an hour before the afternoon work time. It was enough to sleep. Pushing open the door of the inner room, Zhou Jiejia subconsciously glanced at Xiaoqing. She wanted to see if she was asleep, but she saw a scene that made her very surprised. Zhou Jiejia quickly covered her mouth with her hand. She almost screamed because the scene in front of her was too incredible for her. Yang Ming and sister Xiaoqing were actually hugging each other, and the two were actually kissing. Zhou Jiejia subconsciously thought that she was sleepy. She had been lacking sleep for the past few days. Although she relied on her interest in computers to support herself, the physical fatigue was inevitable. Therefore, the reason why Zhou Jiejia covered her mouth was because she felt that she was hallucinating. In her opinion, this was completely impossible. Time, place, person, none of the conditions could be associated with the matter in front of her. Yang Ming should be working outside now, right? This was the teaching building of the school's computer science department, and it was also a laboratory. How could Yang Ming appear here? And the person, it was even more wrong. Yang Ming and Xiaoqing were god siblings. No matter how close they were, it was impossible for them to hug and kiss each other, right? This was simply impossible. Zhou Jiejia rubbed her eyes. She felt that she might have missed Yang Ming so much that her eyes were blurred, so she saw such a messy scene. When she opened her eyes again, Zhou Jiejia was completely dumbfounded. Yes, the person on the bed was indeed Yang Ming. And the other person was indeed the sister Xiaoqing that she respected. And these two people were indeed hugging each other and kissing. Zhou Jiejia looked at the two people on the bed and didn't know what to do. It wasn't that she had the feeling of catching adultery in bed. She didn't have this idea at all, and she didn't have any thoughts of jealousy. It was just that Zhou Jiejia felt that this matter was a bit too incredible. She thought that it was absolutely impossible to happen, but it happened in front of her eyes. She saw it, and she didn't know how to deal with it. Zhou Jiejia gritted her teeth and left the room in small steps. She retreated to the outer room, then she pressed her hand on her chest and took a long sigh of relief. The shock that this incident brought to Zhou Jiejia was really too strong. After confirming that she wasn't blurred, Zhou Jiejia's brain couldn't wrap around it. Isn't Yang Ming's sister Xiaoqing's god-brother? How can the god-sister and god-brother hug each other to do this kind of thing? Zhou Jiejia pressed her temple. If Yang Ming came to find her, then it was reasonable. However, Zhou Jiejia didn't think that Yang Ming's eyes were blurred to the point that he couldn't distinguish between Xiaoqing and herself. Even if he came to find her, this is sister Xiaoqing's dormitory. He shouldn't mess around. Then, the only possibility is that Yang Ming shouldn't know that I'm here. Zhou Jiejia was a smart girl. All along, Zhou Jiejia had been very wise and shrewd. Her mind was in a mess just now because this matter had given her too much of a shock. She was at a loss for a moment. Now that she had left the room and thought about it carefully, she could come to this conclusion. Yang Ming should come to find sister Xiaoqing, and he definitely doesn't know that I live here, too. I joined this research team for a few days. Yang Ming hadn't returned home yet. Naturally, he wouldn't know these details. The only explanation was that Yang Ming came to find Sister Xiaoqing, but he didn't know that I was in the room, so he was intimate with Sister Xiaoqing and didn't avoid me. So, what is the relationship between Yang Ming and Sister Xiaoqing? This question seemed to be a bit silly. Zhou Jiejia shook her head. She didn't need to think about it. The answer was in front of her. Thinking of what Sister Xiaoqing said to her about the person she liked this morning, Zhou Jiejia suddenly realized that the man Sister Xiaoqing was talking about should be Yang Ming. Although this fact was somewhat difficult to accept, Zhou Jiejia still affirmed her own thoughts. Her guess shouldn't be wrong. Xiaoqing was worried about the age gap between her and Yang Ming, as well as the other girls around Yang Ming. In the end, she didn't get together with Yang Ming. However, there should always be a little ambiguity between the two people. As Sister Xiaoqing said, it was enough to be able to meet occasionally. Thinking about it, Yang Ming should come here to date with Sister Xiaoqing, but it was a coincidence that I was here today. However, Sister Xiaoqing knew that I was washing clothes in the outer room. Why didn't she stop Yang Ming? Zhou Jiejia was a bit baffled. However, after she carefully looked at Xiaoqing's expression, Zhou Jiejia knew that Xiaoqing hadn't woken up yet. She should be in a half-awake state now. She probably didn't think too much. After figuring this out, Zhou Jiejia had some sympathy for Xiaoqing. She was also a person who had experienced bitter love. She knew the sadness in it. Zhou Jiejia wasn't a petty person who liked to be jealous. She also knew that she wasn't qualified to be jealous or to care about Yang Ming's matters. It wasn't easy for her to be with Yang Ming. However, the problem now wasn't whether she was jealous or not. Zhou Jiejia was a bit embarrassed. What should I do next? Push the door in and join their battle group? Thinking of this, Zhou Jiejia blushed a little. What kind of messy idea am I having? How can I think like this? She shook her head and threw this idea to the back of her mind. Since I can't push the door in, what should I do? Pretend that I don't know? Wait until Yang Ming and Sister Xiaoqing are done being intimate, then I'll go in? This is indeed a more appropriate way, but what should I do after Sister Xiaoqing wakes up? Even if I pretend that I don't know, I believe that Xiaoqing will suspect something. If there is a knot in her heart, it will be even worse. Maybe there will be a gap between the relationship between the two. To be honest, Zhou Jiejia really had a headache. If Chen Mengyan saw this scene, she might be furious, but Zhou Jiejia wouldn't. First of all, she and Xiaoqing had a very close relationship these days. She sympathized with Xiaoqing's experience, so she wouldn't blame her for anything. Secondly, Zhou Jiejia could now be with Yang Ming because of Chen Mengyan's generosity. Putting herself in Xiaoqing's shoes, Zhou Jiejia wouldn't blame Xiaoqing. These were secondary. The main problem now was that she saw a scene that she shouldn't have seen. Yang Ming had never mentioned that there was another layer of relationship between him and Sister Xiaoqing. That meant that Yang Ming didn't want to mention this matter. Maybe he wanted to keep it as a secret, or maybe the time wasn't right yet. But now that she had seen it, she suddenly fell into a dilemma. She couldn't go in, and she couldn't go out. Later, when Sister Xiaoqing asked about it, she didn't know how to answer. Zhou Jiejia couldn't help but frown. Where did the smart Zhou Jiejia go? Why are you messing around with this matter? In fact, Zhou Jiejia couldn't be blamed. The situation in front of her was beyond her cognition. She didn't know how to deal with it. Yang Ming had Yang Ming's privacy, and Xiaoqing had Xiaoqing's privacy. The matter between the two of them should be very private. They didn't tell others, but she had seen it. Although she was also one of the closest people to Yang Ming, even the most intimate person couldn't have no reservations. She had broken into Yang Ming's privacy. Zhou Jiejia really didn't know how to face Yang Ming. Whether it was said or not, once this matter wasn't handled well, it would always bring a gap between the relationship between them, Just as Zhou Jiejia was thinking about what to do, Xiao Qing's voice came from the room. Yang Ming? Is it really you? Why are you here? Xiao Qing was half awake before, but after being touched by Yang Ming for a while, she woke up. She opened her sleepy eyes and was shocked. She didn't expect that she wasn't dreaming, but it was real. Xiao Qing suddenly sat up from the bed and pushed Yang Ming away in a panic. Don't mess around. Zhou Jiejia is washing clothes in the outer room. What if she sees it? Xiao Qing was really scared. She didn't expect Yang Ming to be so bold. He ran to her bed quietly. Thinking of Zhou Jiejia, who was still washing clothes in the bathroom outside, Xiao Qing's face suddenly became red. Yang Ming smiled bitterly in his heart. Zhou Jiejia? What if she sees it? Now it wasn't a problem of what to do, but Zhou Jiejia had already seen it. Indeed, when Yang Ming entered the room, he didn't notice that there was someone in the outer bathroom. He pushed the door directly and went to Xiao Qing's single bed. However, what was Yang Ming's occupation? He was an assassin. He was very sensitive to the surrounding environment. Just when Zhou Jiejia pushed the door and walked in, Yang Ming had already seen Zhou Jiejia. Yang Ming had no other way except to think that it wasn't good. Yang Ming wasn't the kind of person who didn't dare to take responsibility. At this time, he couldn't push Xiao Qing away just because Zhou Jiejia saw it. He was busy to distance himself from her. Since Zhou Jiejia had already seen it, Yang Ming didn't care. He had to continue. As for Zhou Jiejia's problem, he could only study it later. Therefore, when Yang Ming saw Zhou Jiejia push the door in and leave with a red face, he pretended not to see it. He could only do this now. If at this time, he was anxious to distance himself from Xiao Qing, although Xiao Qing would work hard to help him cover up the facts, Yang Ming knew that Xiao Qing's heart must be very uncomfortable. She is also a normal woman. Wouldn't she want to be with him openly? However, because of various scruples, the two of them could only meet secretly. Yang Ming would never forget that when they were in Hong Kong, Xiao Qing was carefree. The two of them played sweetly in Disneyland. If possible, Yang Ming would rather let Xiao Qing leave the city and go to a place where no one knew her. Yang Ming understood Xiao Qing's mind very well. Therefore, since Zhou Jiejia had already seen it, Yang Ming's heart instantly made a plan. There was no need to continue to hide it. Yang Ming hadn't thought about whether to tell Chen Mengyan, but he must let Zhou Jiejia know about him and Xiao Qing. Yang Ming understood Zhou Jiejia. She wasn't a girl with a big mouth. Moreover, the most important point was that Yang Ming was sure that Zhou Jiejia would stand on the same side as him. No matter who it was, whether it was Chen Mengyan or Zhou Jiejia's parents or relatives, when it came to Yang Ming's interests, Zhou Jiejia would stand on the side of Yang Ming without hesitation. Who else could it be if it wasn't me? Yang Ming saw that Xiao Qing woke up early and couldn't help but smile bitterly. I don't have to hide this from Jiejia, what do you mean? Xiao Qing just woke up and was still a little confused. She couldn't help but be stunned, but then Xiao Qing reacted. Her eyes widened, and her face turned red. Her voice became a little trembling. You mean, Zhou Jiejia saw it all? Jiejia was just outside. If there is no accident, she should have seen everything. Yang Ming looked at Xiao Qing's nervous look and found it funny. He shouted at the door of the room, Jiejia, come in. Don't hide. Chapter 1299. Ah! Xiao Qing was shocked. She subconsciously pushed away Yang Ming and hid far away, but then her cheeks were flushed. Doing so would only reveal that she was hiding something. It was a case of deceiving herself. I said that she saw what she should see, and she also saw what she shouldn't see. Why are you still hiding? Although Yang Ming said these words with a smile, there was some bitterness in his smile because now was not a good time to disclose his relationship with Xiao Qing. His layout in Africa had not been completed yet. It was only in the initial stage. Xiao Qing would continue to work here. Yang Ming was not afraid of exposing their relationship in advance, but he was afraid that it would bring some unnecessary trouble to Xiaoqing. The secular view was still very hurtful. Not to mention the relationship between the two, even the teacher-student relationship was enough to kill. Unless Xiaoqing resigned or Yang Ming graduated, the relationship between the two people would be exposed. But now that Zhou Jiejia had seen it, then Yang Ming did not need to continue to hide it from her. There was no way to hide it. Yang Ming could only disclose this matter to Zhou Jiejia openly. Zhou Jiejia thought a lot outside the room. She didn't know how to face it. She even wanted to leave the room quietly and wait for Yang Ming to leave before coming back. She would pretend that she didn't know what had just happened. After all, things were too embarrassing. Zhou Jiejia didn't want to mention this matter. Some things, although they were clear to each other, as long as they didn't mention it, they could live in peace. Once this kind of thing was mentioned, it was bound to affect the relationship between the two people. Even if Zhou Jiejia really didn't mind, Xiaoqing would mind. The relationship between the two people would gradually drift apart. This was not what Zhou Jiejia wanted to see, so Zhou Jiejia was planning to leave temporarily and come back later. When she heard Yang Ming's shout, her heart suddenly jumped, and she almost couldn't stand still. Zhou Jiejia didn't know how Yang Ming saw her. When she entered the door, Yang Ming didn't look up at all. Zhou Jiejia quietly left the room, but Yang Ming knew that she was outside the door. It was impossible to leave now. Zhou Jiejia could only take a deep breath, push open the door of the room, and walk into the room carefully. Her face was red. If one didn't know, they would think that she was caught in the act, not Xiaoqing. Seeing Zhou Jiejia come in, Xiaoqing's face was quite awkward. She didn't dare to look directly at Zhou Jiejia and lowered her head. Some things couldn't be avoided once they happened. Yang Ming could only try his best to coordinate. Seeing Zhou Jiejia come in, he smiled slightly and patted the seat beside him. He said to Zhou Jiejia, "Jiejia, come and sit here." Oh. Zhou Jiejia's heart was in a mess. She did whatever Yang Ming said. She sat next to Yang Ming, and her expression was still very nervous. When she was alone with Yang Ming, she didn't feel like this now. "Jiejia, are you and Sister Xiaoqing getting along well?" Yang Ming knew that he couldn't be confused at this time. If he was very awkward, then there was no need to reason with the two of them. Only when he was calm could he eliminate the awkwardness between Zhou Jiejia and Xiaoqing. Zhou Jiejia nodded, and her expression was a little awkward. "Sister Xiaoqing made an exception and let me enter the research team. I have been living with her these days. I was wondering why I didn't see you when I went home. It turned out that you joined this research team." Yang Ming smiled. "Sister Xiaoqing didn't bully you, right?" "No. Sister Xiaoqing is very good to me. She even explained the problem to me last night." Zhou Jiejia was shocked and quickly shook her head. "How could she bully me? It's good that she didn't bully you. It means that you two get along well, and you have common topics. Then, let's continue like this in the future." Yang Ming said and pulled Zhou Jiejia's hand. "What relationship?" Xiaoqing was the first to recover from the shock. When she heard Yang Ming say this, she knew that he was adjusting the relationship between the two, so she wanted to help him. Helping him was equivalent to helping herself. "Of course, it's the current, sisterly relationship." Yang Ming thought about it and said with a smile, "Is there any other relationship? I thought you were talking about the teacher-student relationship." Xiaoqing smiled. Zhou Jiejia's heart tightened. Teacher-student relationship? Isn't that even more chaotic? If I maintain a teacher-student relationship with Sister Xiaoqing, what will happen to Yang Ming who is sandwiched in the middle? Do you two have a teacher-student relationship? Yang Ming naturally knew that Xiaoqing didn't want to maintain a teacher-student relationship with Zhou Jiejia. She said this to remove the doubts in Zhou Jiejia's heart. "Don't you?" asked Xiaoqing. "Then, you ask Jiejia if she has one?" Yang Ming turned to look at Zhou Jejia. I don't. Zhou Jejia didn't know how to answer, but she certainly didn't want to have a teacher-student relationship with Xiao Qing. You see, Jejia doesn't recognize you. Don't think too much. Yang Ming shrugged. Well, both of you know each other. I'm too lazy to introduce you to each other. Xiao Qing rolled her eyes at Yang Ming. What is this? If you don't introduce, how can we introduce ourselves? Although we knew each other before, at this time, it was better to get to know each other again. Yang Ming smiled and quickly said, Sister Xiao Qing, you already know about the matter between me and Jejia, so you don't have to say much. I don't have to say anything about the matter between you and me. Jejia also knows about it. My relationship with her is the same as yours. It's just that my current relationship with you can't be publicized. In order to avoid some inexplicable people making irresponsible remarks, you still appear as Sister Xiao Qing in front of outsiders. However, Jejia is not an outsider. These things don't need to be hidden from her. After Yang Ming said these words, he looked at Zhou Jejia and asked, Right, Jejia? Oh. Zhou Jejia nodded. In fact, the relationship between Yang Ming and Sister Xiao Qing didn't need to be mentioned by Yang Ming. Zhou Jejia also saw it. Some things could be seen with just a glance. Then, how could Zhou Jejia not understand what Sister Xiao Qing said to her in the morning? Yang Ming said this now. In fact, he also secretly told Zhou Jejia not to talk about his relationship with Sister Xiao Qing. Zhou Jejia was smart. How could she not understand it? So, she said, I won't talk about it. Yeah, Jejia said that she won't talk about it. What are you worried about? Yang Ming smiled and pulled Xiao Qing's hand over and put it in Zhou Jejia's hand, letting the two hold hands together. Xiao Qing smiled a little. Yang Ming was really shrewd now. He didn't mention the grudge and awkwardness between the two of them. Instead, he focused on this relationship that had been established. They weren't outsiders, so they couldn't talk about it. In this way, Zhou Jejia was distracted by Yang Ming, and it was less awkward. She directly regarded Xiao Qing as one of her own. On Xiao Qing's side, it became that she was afraid of other people's eyes, so she secretly stayed with Yang Ming and didn't dare to disclose it. Now that Zhou Jejia wasn't an outsider, she could tell Zhou Jejia. Originally, it was an embarrassing matter for everyone. Now that everyone was familiar with each other and there were no outsiders, they let each other know. Not only did it improve the relationship between the three of them, but it also didn't have the previous awkwardness. Xiao Qing watched Yang Ming grow up step by step. From the ignorant boy she met in the bookstore at the beginning, he gradually grew into an indomitable man. His way of dealing with people was not as impetuous as before. Instead, he was organized. I'm afraid that Jejia will be angry with me for deceiving her. Xiao Qing sighed. When she said this, it was both true and false. After all, Xiao Qing also knew that Zhou Jejia wasn't a stingy person, but she was still a little worried. How can I? Zhou Jejia shook her head quickly. You didn't tell me before because you had no choice. Now that Yang Ming has said that we are not outsiders, even if we know, we will only be closer. I won't talk about it casually. I won't talk about it to Sister Meng Yan. Zhou Jejia knew that Chen Mengyan certainly didn't know about the relationship between Yang Ming and Xiao Qing, but she knew Chen Mengyan's character. If Chen Mengyan knew about this, she probably wouldn't be as calm as she was now. Therefore, Zhou Jejia wouldn't be a blabbermouth and complain to Chen Mengyan. This kind of thing should be left to Yang Ming himself. Zhou Jejia wasn't so stupid. Previously, she had been hated by Yang Ming because she reported him once. How could she make the same mistake a second time? No matter who the target of the complaint was, Zhou Jejia wouldn't do it easily. Are you relieved now? Yang Ming patted Xiao Qing's waist. Jejia isn't a person who reports. Zhou Jejia just thought about this matter. When Yang Ming mentioned it, she couldn't help but blush. Why are you still talking about me? The past is the past. Hee hee. You were insensible before. Now that you have grown up, you naturally won't do it. Yang Ming smiled. The originally tense situation passed by as they talked and laughed. Now, Xiaoqing also dared to talk to Zhou Jiejia face to face. Zhou Jiejia no longer evaded like before, and her tone returned to normal. Originally, I wanted to see you after I left Sister Xiaoqing's place, but now I see you together. Yang Ming turned to Zhou Jiejia and said, I have been living here for the past few days. I'm busy with the research. Zhou Jiejia said, I haven't had time to thank you for my father's matter. Zhou Jiejia had just been in embarrassment and shock. Now that her mood had calmed down, she naturally remembered that Yang Ming rescued her father. After her father came back, he was very excited. He praised Yang Ming in front of her mother, making her mother very ashamed. She regretted that she almost broke up the relationship between her and Yang Ming. What is there to thank me for? Yang Ming waved his hand to stop Zhou Jiejia from continuing. You see, Sister Xiaoqing never thanked me. Zhou Jiejia looked at Xiaoqing, who was staring at Yang Ming. She couldn't help but laugh. You see, you are talking nonsense. Sister Xiaoqing is angry. She's angry because I told her about it. Yang Ming said, Sister Xiaoqing, I said that Jiejia is not an outsider. There is no need to hide the things between us from her. After the awkwardness between them disappeared, Yang Ming also breathed a sigh of relief. If this matter was handled well, then it would not have any impact on his relationship with Xiaoqing and Zhou Jiejia. Instead, it would be further improved. But if it was not handled well, then whether it was the relationship between himself and Xiaoqing, between himself and Zhou Jiejia, or between Xiaoqing and Zhou Jiejia, there would be a rift. That was the situation that he was most unwilling to see. Sister Xiaoqing, isn't it your turn to wash the clothes now? Yang Ming asked with a smile. I'm going to wash the clothes. Why should I wash the clothes? Xiaoqing was stunned after listening to Yang Ming's words. When Jiejia was washing the clothes, we were intimate. Now that it is Jiejia's turn, you are going to wash the clothes? Yang Ming explained. If you want me to leave, just say it. Why should I wash the clothes? You are deliberately mystifying. Xiaoqing glared at Yang Ming. She stood up and walked to the door of the room. You and Jiejia should be alone. Zhou Jiejia was a little embarrassed. She got up and pulled Xiaoqing. I said that Sister Xiaoqing is not an outsider. Then we don't have to avoid talking. I am going to the toilet. Xiaoqing moved Zhou Jiejia's hand away. You can't let me hold it, right? Zhou Jiejia quickly let go of Xiaoqing's hand. She wasn't sure if Xiaoqing really wanted to go to the toilet, but since Xiaoqing said so, she couldn't stop her. Most likely, Xiaoqing wanted to create an opportunity for the two of them to be alone. Sure enough, after Xiaoqing left the room, there was no movement, and she didn't come in again. However, there was still the last layer of relationship between Yang Ming and Zhou Jiejia that had not been exposed. The two of them lingered for a while, but they couldn't do anything else, especially in Xiaoqing's dormitory. Yang Ming and Zhou Jiejia said that they would come to see them in a few days. When he left, Yang Ming called Xiaoqing and told her that he was leaving. He asked her not to go to the toilet again. Xiaoqing laughed and scolded Yang Ming for having no conscience. Why would she go to the toilet? Isn't it just an excuse? Yang Ming smiled and hung up the phone. Wang Kejin didn't dare to hide. He told Wang Xiaoyan what he saw at the entrance of the Sui's group building that night, as well as the incident where Sui Yuejin was shot to death inside. Because Yang Ming had gone to the Sui's group before, he seemed to have talked to Sui Yuejin about something, so Wang Kejin knew that this matter must be related to Yang Ming. Sui Yuejin's inexplicable death would also affect some of Yang Ming's plans to varying degrees. However, because Zhao Ying lived in Wang Xiaoyan's villa, Wang Xiaoyan did not ask Wang Kejin to send a copy of the videotape and surveillance video to her. These things couldn't be told to Zhao Ying, at least not now. So until this morning, Wang Xiaoyan had no class, and after Zhao Ying went to school, Wang Xiaoyan called Wang Kejin and asked him to send the things to her. After watching the contents of the video, Wang Xiaoyan intuitively felt that this matter was of great importance. She quickly called Yang Ming. Yan Yan? What's the matter? Yang Ming glanced at the caller's number and picked up the phone. Yang Ming, where are you? Asked Wang Xiaoyan. I'm at school. What's wrong? What's the matter? Yang Ming didn't know why Wang Xiaoyan was looking for him at this time. Come to my house now. I have something important to give you. Wang Xiaoyan said, some things can't be explained clearly over the phone. You will know when you come over as soon as possible. Okay, I'll come over now. Although Yang Ming didn't know why Wang Xiaoyan was looking for him, it should be a very important matter. Otherwise, she wouldn't call him at noon. Yang Ming quickly returned to the Huashang district and parked the car at the door of his villa. He got off and walked into Wang Xiaoyan's villa. Yang Ming had the electronic door card outside Wang Xiaoyan's villa, so he didn't have to ring the doorbell. He could go in directly. Wang Xiaoyan also gave the key inside to Yang Ming. In fact, even if she didn't give it to Yang Ming could easily open it. You are here? Wang Xiaoyan heard the sound of the door. She looked up and saw Yang Ming changing his shoes, so she nodded to him. Wang Kejin was also there. Wang Xiaoyan couldn't be too close. Yang Ming also saw Wang Kejin sitting on the sofa at this time. He had some doubts. Why is Wang Kejin here too? He gave me something, but it was related to you. I was anxious to find you and take a look. As Wang Xiaoyan said this, she turned on the TV and pressed the play button of the video recorder with the remote control. A group of dim pictures appeared on the screen. Yang Ming frowned. Although the light on the picture was very dim, he could see where the picture was at a glance because he was familiar with this shooting location. This was the entrance of the Sway's group building in Mount Jing. This is me? Yang Ming saw himself on the picture and suddenly said, were you nearby at that time? Wang Kejin nodded with some embarrassment. I arrived first, but before I could do anything, Mr. Yang went in, so I could only wait at the door. Yang Ming listened to Wang Kejin's words. He seemed to think of something and frowned. Do you want to kill him? Did you kill Sui Yuejin? If I did it, I wouldn't show this video to Mr. Yang. I would just say it directly. Why bother? Wang Kejin smiled bitterly. It is because the matter is strange. Someone else killed Sui Yuejin, so I took the video. Oh. Yang Ming's eyes suddenly lit up. So, the murderer who killed Sui Yuejin, Wang Kejin should have seen it, or would it appear in this video? Because the mission to assassinate Mr. Yang was issued by Sui Yuejin, in order to protect the reputation of our assassin group, I had to kill Sui Yuejin to prevent him from mentioning this to others. Wang Kejin said, however, before I could do it, someone did it first. Yang Ming nodded and continued to watch the video. It was fine if Wang Kejin wanted to kill Sui Yuejin. After all, his starting point was the interest of their organization. This interest was greater than anything else in their opinion. Chapter 1300. Although there was the relationship between Yang Ming and Wang Xiaoyan, the object of Wang Kejin's loyalty was not Wang Xiaoyan, but Wang Xiaoyan's father. Therefore, Yang Ming couldn't ask Wang Kejin for anything, and he simply didn't expect Wang Kejin to listen to his orders. Although Yang Ming could completely suppress Wang Kejin in terms of skills, Wang Kejin was an assassin. He would not succumb to the strong. This saves you the trouble of doing it. Yang Ming smiled. You can also explain it to your side. Wang Kejin was a little embarrassed by Yang Ming's words. He smiled awkwardly. No, I saw Mr. Yang enter the Sway's group first, so I changed my mind. You must have something to look for Sui Yuejin, so I can't kill him, oh? If you don't kill him, can you explain it to your side? Yang Ming looked at Wang Kejin's expression, which didn't seem to be fake. He was somewhat puzzled. I will ask for instructions. Wang Kejin said, the patriarch also knows Mr. Yang. At least, you can delay it until the matter is over. After Yang Ming listened to Wang Kejin's words, he knew that Wang Kejin would not lie about this issue because there was no need, so he focused on watching the picture on the TV screen. Yang Ming walked around the entrance of the Sway's group building. After he found that there was a security guard on duty at the door, Yang Ming left the Sway's group. At that time, Yang Ming found that it was more difficult to enter from the front door, so he chose to climb into the building from the side. Of course, Yang Ming believed that Wang Kejin was also clear about Yang Ming's action plan. After a while, Yang Ming appeared at the entrance of the Sway's group building again. This was the picture when Yang Ming came out from inside, and the security guard on duty at the door sent him off. This time, Yang Ming walked out openly. Because of Sui Yuejin's instructions, these security guards regarded Yang Ming as an important guest of Sui Yuejin. Not long after Mr. Yang left, someone entered the Sway's group building. Wang Kejin pointed to the screen and said, "Please look carefully. This person will appear soon." Yang Ming held his breath. He was about to see this person's true face. He couldn't help but feel a little excited. Although he had already guessed in his heart that all of this should be the work of the behind-the-scenes boss, after all, it was only a guess and there was no actual proof. On the screen, a figure appeared. Yang Ming's breathing quickened. It was confirmed. It could be confirmed. Although it was not very clear, and Wang Kejin's shooting environment was a little dim, this face had been deeply imprinted in Yang Ming's memory. This face looked a little ordinary, but it was always against him. Yang Ming wasn't sure if this person was the behind-the-scenes boss himself, but what was certain was that this person was definitely the backbone of the behind-the-scenes boss's organization. Huang Youcai's status should not be low. It could be seen from their contact with Alice. If the status of these two people was not high, it was impossible to talk to Alice face to face. In Yang Ming's view, Alice was definitely a high-level figure of the behind-the-scenes boss's organization. This was beyond doubt. After all, Alice's identity was there. If she was not a high-level figure of the organization, it was impossible to develop to this point. The organization would definitely be afraid of them. "Mr. Yang, do you know this person?" Wang Kejin saw that Yang Ming's expression was a little unnatural, so he asked. Yang Ming did not hide this. He nodded and said, "Yes, it is this person. The organization behind him has repeatedly opposed me and Yen Yen. That time in Macau and the assassination in Yen Yen's villa were all done by this person. The incident with Sui Yuejin and Tian Long this time was probably planned by him." Oh. When Wang Kejin heard that this person was actually the person who wanted to harm Wang Xiaoyan, he suddenly frowned. "If I knew this in the beginning, I wouldn't have let him go." Yang Ming shook his head. "Look at so many people in the Sway's group. All of them were silenced. You can see that this person is not an ordinary person. It's hard to say if you can keep him." "Not necessarily." Wang Kejin was somewhat unconvinced. Even I can't guarantee that I can keep him." Yang Ming glanced at Wang Kejin and said, "In the beginning, the Death Warrior sent here was by no means a mediocre person. It took a lot of effort to kill her." Wang Kejin and Yang Ming's skills were much worse. When he heard Yang Ming say that even he was not sure to keep the person in the picture, he was no longer entangled. He couldn't be more powerful than Yang Ming, so it was a lot more balanced. "I was too arrogant." Wang Kejin took the initiative to admit his mistake. Yang Ming waved his hand. He was not Wang Kejin's superior. Wang Kejin didn't need to apologize to him at all. It was probably because of Wang Xiaoyan's face. It is basically certain that the person who killed Sui Yuejin is this person. "Yes, it is him." Wang Kejin nodded and said, "These are only recorded by me outside the building. There is a surveillance video in the security room inside the building." "Oh. Surveillance video? Wasn't the surveillance video taken away by this person?" Yang Ming looked at Wang Kejin with some doubts. His videotape appeared in the hands of the Mount Jing police, which explained this point. The surveillance video should be in the hands of the behind-the-scenes boss. Yes, this person took the hard disk in the security room's surveillance video, but what he didn't expect was that there was a data backup machine in the cabinet next to it, said Wang Kejin. Oh. Sway's group actually has a data backup machine? Yang Ming obviously heard of the data backup machine. The so-called data backup machine was used to back up the data of the surveillance video. The hard disk in the surveillance video was always recording images, so the magnetic head of the hard disk was always in a working state. Even the best server-level hard disk had the possibility of breaking down at any time. Therefore, in order to prevent this kind of accident, the company responsible for installing the surveillance video would generally set up a data backup machine. That was to say, every once in a while, the surveillance video would transmit the data to the backup machine for backup. In this way, even if the hard disk in the surveillance video was broken, there would still be backup data in the backup machine. It would not be impossible to find the surveillance data after a problem occurred. But in fact, few domestic companies would adopt this approach. After all, doing so would increase a lot of costs, and the cost of maintenance would also increase. Most domestic companies would not keep the content of the surveillance data. They would cover it up every once in a while. Therefore, most surveillance video installation companies would regularly replace all the hard disks in the warranty period for their customers. This would also reduce the failure rate. Before the hard disk was broken, they would replace it with a new one. These companies naturally had means to deceive the manufacturer. It was not difficult to make the illusion that the hard disk in the warranty period was artificially damaged. There was no cost to replace it. Instead, they could charge the customer a certain maintenance fee. Why not? However, in some foreign companies, the data backup machine was still widely used. Generally speaking, the host used for backup would not be too far away from the surveillance video. It might be placed next to it. Yes, there is a data backup machine in Sway's group. Wang Kejin nodded affirmatively. I found this data backup machine in the file cabinet next to it. Yang Ming was a little delighted and praised. I didn't expect you to be so careful. This is a very good clue. Wang Kejin was praised by Yang Ming, and he was a little embarrassed. He explained, previously, I had seen a similar thing in a foreign company. The data backup machine was also placed in the file cabinet. After careful inspection, I found that it was a computer cabinet, but the appearance was similar to the file cabinet. If Wang Kejin didn't accidentally discover this secret when he performed the previous mission, he was afraid that he would suffer a loss. Therefore, this time, after Wang Kejin saw a similar file cabinet in Sway's group, he must open it to see what was going on. Wang Kejin did not continue to say these words. After all, he almost failed. Where is the hard disk? Asked Yang Ming. I just gave it to the young lady. Wang Kejin glanced at Wang Xiaoyan and said. It is next to my desktop computer upstairs. I used the adapter box to copy the data into the computer. Wang Xiaoyan said, the copy should be almost done now. Let's go up and take a look. I won't go. The young lady and Mr. Yang can go. Upstairs was Wang Xiaoyan's boudoir. In order to avoid suspicion, it was naturally inconvenient for Wang Kejin to go up. Let's go together. If there are any questions, I can ask you directly. Yang Ming didn't think so much and invited Wang Kejin. Wang Kejin looked at Wang Xiaoyan with some embarrassment. He didn't know if he should go up. The computer is in the study room. You should go up together. Wang Xiaoyan naturally understood what Wang Kejin was worried about. The butterfly family had many rules. They were not allowed to enter private rooms. Entering a family member's room without permission would be severely punished. Places like the study room could not be entered without an invitation, so Wang Kejin was so hesitant. However, since Wang Xiaoyan agreed to let Wang Kejin go up together, Wang Kejin naturally would not have any more concerns. The three people went upstairs together. Wang Kejin behaved very well. His eyes were calm, and he didn't dare to look around casually. He entered the study room with Yang Ming and Wang Xiaoyan. Wang Xiaoyan sat in front of the computer, and Yang Ming sat next to her. Wang Xiaoyan's computer chair was long and could sit several people at the same time. However, Wang Kejin naturally couldn't squeeze with Yang Ming and Wang Xiaoyan, so he stood aside. Wang Xiaoyan glanced at the information in the computer. All the data had been copied successfully. She opened the video data and watched it with Yang Ming and Wang Kejin. Before Yang Ming came, Wang Xiaoyan had already watched it once. However, she watched it on the hard drive and did not copy it. Now, she copied it to her computer. Mr. Yang, I really admire you. I don't know how to avoid all the surveillance video cameras, but there was no video of you going upstairs. Wang Kejin also watched this surveillance video several times before, but he couldn't see any flaws. Yang Ming seemed to appear directly in Sui Yuejin's office. His figure was not in the video. However, Wang Kejin also knew that Yang Ming was a human and not a ghost. It was impossible for him to fly directly into Sui Yuejin's office. Yang Ming's figure was not in the surveillance video. It could only be said that Yang Ming was too powerful. He calculated the time of the surveillance video switch perfectly. Study the time and order of the surveillance camera switch, and there is no problem. This is not difficult. Yang Ming waved his hand and didn't want to say anything. Wang Kejin thought that Yang Ming was being modest. Although everyone knew the principle, it was more difficult to do it. Wang Kejin knew that he definitely couldn't do it. When Yang Ming went downstairs, he did not avoid the camera anymore. Instead, he went downstairs openly, and then he was warmly sent out by the security guard on duty at the door. The man who came in later was the suspected behind-the-scenes boss. At present, Yang Ming was not sure whether he was the behind-the-scenes boss himself. He could only call him the suspected behind-the-scenes boss. There was no sound recorded on the screen, and his lips couldn't be seen clearly. He didn't know what he said to the security guard on duty at the door. The security guard actually let him in. After that, the screen became blank. Apparently, the hard disk data in the surveillance video recorder had not yet been synchronized with the data backup machine, and it was dismantled by the suspected behind-the-scenes boss by the black-shirt man. However, after he dismantled the hard disk in the surveillance video recorder, the data backup machine directly took over the data recording work. When the data backup machine determined that there was a problem with the surveillance video recorder, he also temporarily shouldered the function of the data recorder. Although he did not see the black-shirt man enter the security room, there was the scene of him shooting at Sui Yuejin's chairman's office. This was enough evidence for him to kill Sui Yuejin. Yang Ming was a little excited. He thought it was a very complicated case. Now with Wang Kejin's video, it became much easier. As long as this video was handed over to his colleagues in Mount Jing, he and the police could jointly make a warrant for arrest. In this way, regardless of whether he was the behind-the-scenes boss or not, he would become a stray dog. It might be difficult for him to go out in the future. As long as he appeared in public, he was likely to be recognized by everyone. Wang Kejin, you have helped me a lot this time. I believe that this video will be in the hands of the police. This guy will not have a good time. He may not be able to go out in the future, so he won't have the intention to harm Yan Yan and me. Yang Ming stood up and patted Wang Kejin's shoulder. Mr. Yang, don't say that. It is my duty to help the young lady. Wang Kejin didn't dare to be arrogant. Yang Ming also said that this person didn't dare to go out, so he couldn't harm Wang Xiaoyan, so Wang Kejin thought that this was what he should do. Yang Ming didn't say anything, but he had already remembered this friendship in his heart. In the future, if Wang Kejin encountered any trouble that he couldn't solve, Yang Ming would be duty-bound to help. This matter should not be delayed. Cut out the video of Wang Kejin entering the Sui's group. As long as it is in front, you don't have to cut out my part. Just copy it directly. I am going to Mount Jing now, said Yang Ming. Okay. Wang Xiaoyan nodded and began to operate. This was a simple computer operation. It was not complicated. Wang Xiaoyan could handle it easily. Wang Xiaoyan burned the intercepted video into a DVD disc. Yang Ming picked up the disc and didn't stay. I will go first. The matter is urgent. I will come back to you tonight. Don't. Sister Ying is coming. Wang Xiaoyan quickly waved her hand and refused. You must not come. Okay, then I will find another time. Yang Ming didn't care. He nodded and made a phone call gesture. Call me at any time. The reason why Yang Ming was in such a hurry to go to Mount Jing was that the behind-the-scenes boss had set him up a lot. Although he had won back a few times, he couldn't hurt the behind-the-scenes boss. But this time was different. He believed that as long as the arrest warrant was issued, the suspected behind-the-scenes boss would not dare to move in public and would stop for a while. Yang Ming had a lot of things in his hands, and he was not fully ready to fight to the death with the behind-the-scenes boss. Elder Yu's matter had not been dealt with, so Yang Ming couldn't be distracted. Driving directly to Mount Jing, Yang Ming didn't care if he was speeding. The matter was too important. He had no time to pay attention to it. Fortunately, most of the traffic police in Songjiang knew the background of Yang Ming's car, so they did not stop him. After getting on the Jingsong Expressway, no one cared. Yang Ming even raised the speed of the car to the extreme. Finally, there was a chance to take the initiative to find trouble with the behind-the-scenes boss. Yang Ming's heart was naturally very excited. The feeling of being led by the nose before was very uncomfortable. Yang Ming didn't like it. Now that he could lead the behind-the-scenes boss by the nose, Yang Ming certainly had to seize the time. After getting off the Jingsong Expressway, at the toll booth exit, the traffic police on duty glanced at Yang Ming's car. They did not stop him and let him go directly. The video of Yang Ming speeding on the expressway should have been sent, but this was the territory of Mount Jing. Yang Ming's car had a Class A pass issued by Captain Yang, which belonged to the highest level of official pass. The police of Mount Jing recognized this pass, so naturally, they would not stop Yang Ming's car. He rushed all the way to the Mount Jing police station. Similarly, the guards at the entrance of the Mount Jing police station also saw the pass on Yang Ming's car. They did not stop him and let him go directly. However, when Yang Ming went upstairs, he was stopped. Who are you looking for? Register here. The policeman on duty in the guard room of the office building called out to Yang Ming. I am looking for Captain Yang of the criminal investigation team, said Yang Ming. Oh. Why are you looking for him? Have you contacted him in advance? Asked the policeman. Not yet. I will call him now. Yang Ming quickly took out his mobile phone to make a call, but he was stopped by the policeman on duty. No need. I have an insider here. What's your name? I will ask for you. The policeman on duty asked Yang Ming. Yang Ming nodded and said, Sorry to trouble you. Chapter 1301. You can tell Captain Zhang that my name is Yang Ming, and he will know. Yang Ming nodded and said, Sorry to trouble you. The policeman on duty called Captain Zhang upstairs. After a while, Captain Zhang's hearty voice came from the stairs. Mr. Yang, why did you come to my place today after just returning to Songjiang yesterday? Because he already knew the true identity of Yang Ming last night, and the case was handed over, Captain Zhang was unspeakably relaxed. He was in a good mood, so his tone was naturally very pleasant. However, he was a bit puzzled. Yang Ming should have just returned to Songjiang from Donghai yesterday. Why did he come to Mount Jing today to find me? Even if Yang Ming came to Mount Jing for business, he wouldn't come here, right? Let's find a place to sit down and talk. Yang Ming smiled and shook hands with Captain Zhang, then said. When Captain Zhang heard Yang Ming's words, he knew that he had some confidential things to find him that couldn't be said in public, so he nodded and said, Let's go upstairs and talk in my office. Yang Ming and Captain Zhang went all the way upstairs and came to Captain Zhang's office. Captain Zhang personally poured a cup of tea for Yang Ming. Yang Ming quickly thanked him. Although the two did not have a direct administrative relationship, Captain Zhang was very polite to him. Yang Ming naturally would not put on airs. Captain Zhang closed the door of the room, then sat down and said to Yang Ming, "Mr. Yang, you came here this time for, what else can it be for? Isn't it for Sui Yuejin's case?" Yang Ming shrugged and smiled bitterly. "Otherwise, I wouldn't be here." "Oh. That case, wasn't it handed over to your side? Why did you find me here?" Captain Zhang's heart was stunned. Could it be that Yang Ming felt regret? This case is a bit tricky. They don't want to take it anymore and want to push it back to my side? Well, this case still needs Captain Zhang's help. Yang Ming nodded and said. After listening to Yang Ming's words, Captain Zhang's face changed slightly. He complained incessantly in his heart. Yang Ming really came because of this matter and pushed the case back. What should he do? "Mr. Yang, aren't you already in charge of this case?" Captain Zhang hesitated for a moment before saying, "The people involved in this case are quite complicated. I think it's better for your side to be in charge." Yang Ming was slightly stunned. When he heard Captain Zhang's tone, he knew that he had misunderstood. He didn't know whether to laugh or cry. He waved his hand. "Captain Zhang, did you misunderstand? I have no intention of pushing the case back to you." "Oh. Then, Mr. Yang means." After listening to Yang Ming's words, Captain Zhang was somewhat inexplicable. If Yang Ming didn't mean this, then why did he say this? On our side, although we have the duty to investigate some mysterious files, when the case is closed, we still need the police to close the case. After all, our agency can't be exposed to outsiders. Yang Ming said, just like the haunted case in Songjiang a while ago. Although I participated in the investigation, when the case was finally closed, the credit was still given to the Songjiang police. Captain Zhang nodded after listening to Yang Ming's words, but he still didn't quite understand what Yang Ming meant. He also knew what Yang Ming said, but Yang Ming said this at this moment. I mean, the criminal suspect has been found. On our side, we can also transfer the case back to you. You can directly issue an arrest warrant, said Yang Ming. What? The criminal suspect has been found? Captain Zhang stared at Yang Ming incredulously. How is this possible? In less than a day, the case was just handed over to the Supernatural Investigation Bureau last night, and there was a result this afternoon. The criminal suspect has been found? What kind of speed is this? Although Captain Zhang knew that the Supernatural Investigation Bureau was very capable, the speed of this case was really amazing. It was simply unbelievable. Yes. Yang Ming nodded. I have got the complete surveillance video of the Swayze Group's immortal building at that time. Complete surveillance video? Captain Zhang was pleasantly surprised. As long as there was this complete video, it was easy to find the criminal suspect. It's here. As Yang Ming said, he took out a DVD disc and put it in front of Captain Zhang. I have burned the video on this disc. You can play it directly with a computer or a DVD player. Then let's take a look at it now. Captain Zhang picked up the disc with some excitement. This case was solved. The Supernatural Investigation Bureau naturally did not want any credit, so the credit would naturally fall to Captain Zhang's Mount Jing police station. Captain Zhang, please call the person in charge who came to pick up the case file yesterday. I don't have his contact information. Yang Ming was a little embarrassed. They were colleagues in the same organization, but Yang Ming did not have their contact information. This was somewhat unreasonable. However, Yang Ming had not joined the Supernatural Investigation Bureau for a long time. It was normal that he did not have the contact information here. Captain Zhang did not think much and directly called Qinan, the person in charge of the Supernatural Investigation Bureau. Mr. Qin, I am Zhang Dehai of the Municipal Bureau's Criminal Investigation Team. Captain Zhang said, Song Zhang's Yang Ming, Mr. Yang Ming, is here. He has found the criminal suspect of the Sway's group's murder of Sway Yuejin. Oh. Yang Ming is here? Qinan was a little surprised. He had heard Xia Bingbao mention that Yang Ming was a capable person. He had long wanted to get to know him, but he had never had a chance to meet him. He and Yang Ming were both Xia Bingbao's subordinates. Although they were colleagues, because the organization they belonged to was special, they usually did not have orders or tasks. Private contact was very taboo, so Qinan did not take the initiative to look for Yang Ming. Now that there was such an opportunity to work together on a case, Qinan naturally wanted to see how good Yang Ming was that he could make his boss, Xia Bingbao, praise him. Yes, Mr. Qin. Can you come over? Captain Zhang's tone was very polite. Okay, I'm coming over now. Qinan responded. After hanging up the phone, Captain Zhang and Yang Ming smiled. Mr. Qin said that he will come over now. Then let's wait for him for a while, and then watch this video together. Yang Ming nodded and said. Although Captain Zhang wanted to see the video that Yang Ming brought over, since Yang Ming said so, he could not refuse. This case had troubled him for a long time. Now that there was a solution, he was of course anxious. The two people chatted about some trivial things in their daily lives. For the things in the system, neither of them took the initiative to mention it. Captain Zhang was not curious to ask. Some things couldn't be asked. Even if he asked, Yang Ming would not say it. Instead, it would be annoying. As for how this video was obtained, Captain Zhang did not ask. Yang Ming naturally had his channels and means. These things could not be made public. After a while, there was a knock on the door of Captain Zhang's office. Captain Zhang said, "Please come in." The door is not locked. A tall man in his 30s pushed the door and walked in. He was Qinan, the person in charge of the Supernatural Investigation Bureau in Mount Jing. Because of business dealings, he was a frequent visitor to the Mount Jing police station, so the policeman on duty at the door did not ask Captain Yang in advance and let him in. Captain Zhang Dehai, Qinan naturally knew him. Then, the man next to him must be Yang Ming. Although he looked a little young, his face was very persevering in vicissitudes of life, making people involuntarily overestimate his actual age. Qinan knew the identity of Yang Ming. He was currently only a freshman student, but if one looked at him at first glance, he should be 27 or 28 years old or even more mature. This kind of maturity did not mean that he looked old. On the contrary, Yang Ming looked very young. The so-called maturity was just a kind of temperament, a natural temperament after experiencing many things. Mr. Yang Ming, right? I am Qinan. Qinan walked quickly to Yang Ming's side and extended his right hand. Yang Ming did not dare to underestimate Qinan's identity. Xia Bingbao's men were not mediocre, so this Qinan must have something extraordinary. Seeing that Qinan was very warm to him, Yang Ming naturally could not be left out. He quickly stood up and shook hands with Qinan cordially. Just call me Yang Ming. What, mister? It's so awkward. We should be on the same level, so I will call you Big Brother Qin. Since you said so, then I will be your big brother. I will call you Little Brother Yang. Qinan saw that Yang Ming was easygoing and did not have any arrogant attitude, so he could not help but sigh in relief. Qinan was an old man in the system. He belonged to the regular army. He was selected from the army and joined the Supernatural Investigation Bureau after undergoing secret training. He was not like Yang Ming, who was a master with unique skills, who was recruited by the Bureau later. According to Xia Bingbao's words, Yang Ming was a special ability user. He belonged to the national treasure level. He was currently the only person with the most useful special ability in the Supernatural Investigation Bureau. Although it was not stated what kind of special ability it was, it must be very powerful for Xia Bingbao to hold it in such high regard. Xia Bingbao was the highest-ranking officer in the Supernatural Investigation Bureau in charge of the entire Northern Affairs. His words were naturally very authoritative. In the past, Qinan had seen people who were arrogant just because they had some small abilities. It wasn't as if Qinan hadn't seen them before, and he had been bullied quite a bit. Although his skills were exceptional, he wasn't as popular as those people with lousy abilities. Although many abilities were useless, such as the ability to take fire with bare hands, those people were arrogant, and Qinan was too lazy to deal with them. Xia Bingbao said that Yang Ming was very easygoing. Qinan did not believe it at first, but he knew that Xia Bingbao was not lying when he saw it. Yang Ming was so approachable. "Brother Yang, I heard that you have found the suspect in Sui Yuejin's case?" Qinan said, "We have just studied the case. I didn't expect you to have a result here. You are really a young hero." "Big brother Qin, I also got such a video by chance." Yang Ming was a little embarrassed. "One of my subordinates. He went to the immortal building of the Sui's group later. As a result, he found the data backup machine in the cabinet of the security room. He found that the hard disk inside was not removed. It may be the negligence of the suspect." "Oh. This subordinate of yours. Why didn't he tell you before?" Captain Zhang was a little baffled. If there was this video earlier, there would not have been such a misunderstanding yesterday. "He told me at the time, but I didn't pay attention until you looked for me yesterday. After I went back, I asked him for this video." Yang Ming explained with some shame, "I was busy some time ago. I was dealing with other things, so I didn't pay much attention to it." Qinan did not feel that there was anything wrong with it. He also had some subordinates who collected information every day and then reported it to him. He also picked some important information to understand. It was impossible to do everything personally. It would be strange if he was not exhausted. "But your subordinate actually came to Mount Jing. It's a bit strange." Qinan did not blame Yang Ming for crossing the line because he said this with a smile. "Big brother Qin, don't blame him. He came here purely to protect me secretly. He has no other intention." Yang Ming quickly explained. Hee, I don't mean to blame you. I'm just a little curious." Qinan smiled and waved his hand. "But your subordinate is loyal." Although there was only one person in charge of the Supernatural Investigation Bureau in each station, the person in charge could recruit some people to help, and Xia Bingbao could allocate funds for expenses. Qinan thought that Yang Ming was the same. How could he know that Yang Ming was a commander without an army? The so-called subordinates were just his girlfriend Wang Xiaoyan's father's subordinates. "Let's watch the video." Captain Zhang was a little impatient. After watching Yang Ming and Qinan chat, he suggested. "Okay, big brother Qin, I was just talking to Captain Zhang. The suspect has a clear face in this video. We can issue arrest warrants based on this face," said Yang Ming. Zhang Dehai asked people to prepare a conference room and adjusted the big screen. He went over with Yang Ming and Qinan and began to play the DVD brought by Yang Ming. Yang Ming did not cut out the previous shots of Yang Ming. No one would suspect him again, so it would be stingy to cut them out. After watching the video, Zhang Dehai found someone to make photos of the suspect. There were clear images in the video. He just needed to take a few. As a result, a clearly printed arrest warrant appeared in the streets and alleys of Mount Jing. The arrest warrant on the internet was also sent to the police stations in the nearby cities, asking them to help issue the arrest warrant. Qinan and Zhang Dehai were busy together. Yang Ming also decided to come to Mount Jing this time. He didn't have much preparation, and he had to rush back immediately. So, he agreed with Qinan that after this matter was over, he would come to Songjiang to find Yang Ming to get together. Maybe it wouldn't take long for him to come to Songjiang. After Yang Ming said goodbye to Qinan and Zhang Dehai, he was ready to rush back to Songjiang. He just had a class today. If he went back now, he might be able to catch up with the last class. When returning to Songjiang, Yang Ming did not speed. He was not a speeding maniac. Although the pass in the car was issued by Donghai, and it was useful in the province, Yang Ming did not rely on this privilege. The efficiency of the Mount Jing police station was still very fast. Tens of thousands of wanted posters had been posted in various residential areas and streets. The assassination of Sui Yuejin finally had some clues. However, among them, the most distressed was none other than Old Li. Yesterday, he had been looking forward to the bonus. Today, he waited for the whole morning, but he did not see anyone come to deliver the bonus. He thought that he had been fooled, so he called Zhang Dehai, but was told that there was more to the case. Yang Ming was not the suspect. Old Li was more convinced that he was fooled. He was a little annoyed. Police officer Zhang took the videotape but did not give him a reward. Just as he was complaining at home, Old Wang came to Old Li with a wanted poster. Old Li, don't wait. The bonus is definitely gone. Old Wang sighed and came in through the door. Oh. What do you mean? Are they really going to renege on their promise? Old Li was a little angry. They made such a promise at the beginning, but they didn't fulfill it. How can they do this? I will look for the newspaper to expose them. Don't look for it. Old Wang waved his hand and handed a piece of paper to Old Li. Look at what this is for yourself. Wanted poster? Old Li took the piece of paper handed over by Old Wang and frowned. The murderer who killed Sui Yuejin is not the person in the video we watched. Now you know why you didn't get a bonus, right? Old Wang said, you don't have to complain. The one you provided is useless. The person in the video is not the murderer. This time, Old Li was completely silent. He also knew why he didn't get a bonus. How could there be such a thing as a pie falling from the sky? Huang Yukai also took back a piece of paper. He handed the thing in his hand to the behind-the-scenes boss in a panic. Boss, it's not good. Your wanted poster has been issued. What is my wanted poster? The behind-the-scenes boss was talking to Dr. Benjamin on the internet. When he saw Huang Yukai walking in, he frowned. Why are you in such a hurry? Boss, the Mount Jing police have issued a warrant for you. Huang Yukai handed the thing in his hand to the behind-the-scenes boss. The behind-the-scenes boss minimized the chat window. He didn't want Huang Yukai to know about his matters. He picked up the wanted poster handed over by Huang Yukai and glanced at it. Suddenly, his face turned cold. What the hell is going on? How could they know that I did it? Is there something wrong with the videotape? No wonder the behind-the-scenes boss would have such a big reaction. He should be the existence of a big black hand hidden behind the scenes, and not in front of the public. How could they not be shocked and his appearance suddenly appeared on the wanted poster? There is definitely no problem with the videotape, but these photos seem to be taken in the immortal building of the Sway's group. Huang Yukai carefully observed the background of the photos and said. Chapter 1302. Huang Yutsai's face was also gloomy. The plan failed, it was a complete failure. Previously, when he saw that the Mount Jing police did not arrest Yang Ming, Huang Yukai could comfort himself by saying that the police needed evidence to handle the case. They must carefully study this videotape before arresting him. Moreover, before arresting someone, they must arrange it properly to avoid any accidents, so it was understandable that they did not start immediately. However, now it seemed that it was not that the Mount Jing police did not make a move, but they did not regard Yang Ming as a suspect at all. In fact, they also found the person who really killed Sui Yuejin, the behind-the-scenes boss. Therefore, the plan failed. Huang Yukai was not very frightened this time. After all, the reason for the failure of the plan was not him. It was the negligence of the behind-the-scenes boss. After he entered the Sway's group, his figure was captured by the surveillance video. It could not be said that his plan was not good, but there was a problem with his execution. The behind-the-scenes boss was not an unreasonable person. He looked at the arrest warrant with a pale face. He couldn't understand what he had done wrong. The hard drive that should have been in his hands actually appeared in the hands of the police. Wasn't the hard drive in the surveillance video removed? For this, the behind-the-scenes boss was very sure. Wait, no. The behind-the-scenes boss was shocked and remembered something. Once, when he was stealing a rare treasure from a foreign museum, he accidentally found a surveillance camera in the museum's surveillance room. Not only was there a surveillance camera, but there was also a data backup machine. The data of the surveillance video recorder was synchronized with the data backup machine at a time. Does the Swayze group also have such a thing? The behind-the-scenes boss sighed with some annoyance. In the past few years in China, he had somewhat relaxed his vigilance. He did not expect the Swayze group to have a data backup machine. At present, this was the only explanation why the police had the content of the surveillance video in their hands. Humph. The behind-the-scenes boss slammed the table angrily and tore the arrest warrant on the table into pieces in his hand. He threw it in the air forcefully, and the pieces of paper fell all over the room. Huang Yukai looked at the angry look of the behind-the-scenes boss and didn't speak. He knew that the behind-the-scenes boss was angry at the moment, but as long as he didn't answer, the behind-the-scenes boss couldn't vent his anger on him. Sure enough, after the behind-the-scenes boss lost his temper, his face returned to calmness. He waved his hand to Huang Yukai. You go to rest first. I will be alone for a while. Okay, boss. Huang Yukai nodded and said. By the way, don't target Yang Ming for now. Let's take a break first. The behind-the-scenes boss hesitated for a moment and stopped Huang Yukai. The situation is tense recently. Wait for a while, when the wanted order is not so strict, then we will talk about it. I know. Huang Yukai would use the power of the behind-the-scenes boss to take revenge in the future, so he naturally didn't want anything to happen to the behind-the-scenes boss. Anyway, things weren't urgent. He could endure for so long. He would let Yang Ming be proud for a while. Huang Yukai firmly believed in his heart that he could definitely tear Yang Ming into pieces. It was just a matter of time. When Huang Yukai went out of the door, the behind-the-scenes boss took a few deep breaths and calmed down his emotions. He was not angry because his image was exposed. This was an insignificant matter. The behind-the-scenes boss was not afraid that others would know what he looked like. But he was unhappy. Extremely unhappy. Because he failed again. He didn't know if there was a factor of Yang Ming this time. In short, because of his carelessness, others caught him. Now that the wanted order was issued, he couldn't even go out, although, the behind-the-scenes boss slammed his fist on the table. Seeing the chat window with Dr. Benjamin flashing on the computer screen, the behind-the-scenes boss clicked on it. Falcon, what's wrong with you? Why aren't you talking? This was sent by Dr. Benjamin in English. It turned out that the code name of the behind-the-scenes boss in their organization was Falcon. He wasn't the ultimate behind-the-scenes boss. There were others behind him. Doctor, my current appearance has been seen, and a wanted order has been issued. Falcon typed on the computer. This is nothing. I will make another mask for you. Dr. Benjamin said disapprovingly. Sorry to trouble you, Doctor. Falcon breathed a sigh of relief. It seemed that Dr. Benjamin didn't blame him for this matter. Instead, he easily agreed to make another mask for him. If I can find the old guy's son Sikong and make a mask that can change one's appearance, it won't be so troublesome. Dr. Benjamin sighed. I will try my best. Don't worry, Doctor. Falcon quickly promised. You can't rush it. Put your personal grudges aside first. Don't put the cart before the horse. Dr. Benjamin suddenly warned Falcon. Falcon looked at the text sent by the behind-the-scenes boss, and his heart trembled. It seems that what I have done here has not been hidden from Dr. Benjamin. Are there still people with the doctor here? There shouldn't be. Originally, Falcon thought that since he was in China, the mountains were high and the emperor was far away, so Dr. Benjamin must not know what he was doing. But in fact, this was not the case. Dr. Benjamin's words just now were already very obvious. Although he did not name some things in detail, Falcon could still understand, and he was secretly shocked by what he saw. Yes, I see. Falcon said quickly. I still have something to do here. Mr. Rain is here. I have something to discuss with him. Dr. Benjamin finished this sentence and went offline. Falcon was not very clear about what Mr. Rain did. He only knew that he was an important figure in the organization. Falcon did not know what he was specifically responsible for. Because Falcon was directly in charge of Dr. Benjamin. And Falcon could not judge who had a higher position between Mr. Rain and Dr. Benjamin. These were all things that he could not understand. That organization was so large that no one understood what they wanted to do, but it was an extremely terrifying existence. After he expressed his determination, Dr. Benjamin did not say anything and just went offline in a hurry, so Falcon was a little nervous and decided not to care about Yang Ming's affairs for a while. Yang Ming naturally did not know that there was someone behind the scenes boss, and he was just a pawn. Of course, he did not know that the behind the scenes boss actually had a mask and could continue to appear in front of him with a different face. On the way back, he was not so anxious. Anyway, he had already missed the first class in the afternoon. It was fine if he could catch up with the 6:00 evening class. When Yang Ming returned to Songjiang Industry University, it was already 4:30 in the afternoon. Yang Ming had not eaten dinner yet, so he called Chen Mengyan and asked if she was with Lin Jian. I don't have class in the evening, so I went home. After a while, Chen Mengyan picked up the phone. If you want to eat, look for Sister Lin. She still has class in the evening. Jian still has class? Yang Ming did not expect Chen Mengyan to go home first, so he had to say, well, then I will look for Jian. Chen Mengyan had already gone home, so it was unrealistic to ask her to come out again. Thinking of this, Yang Ming was ready to call Lin Jian to see where she was. Lin Jian naturally knew that Chen Mengyan did not have class in the evening, and she did not want her to accompany her at school. Although they were in the same department, their majors were different. Chen Mengyan accompanying her in class was purely a waste of time. Therefore, Lin Jian asked Chen Mengyan to go back first, and she did not have to wait for her to eat. Lin Jian was going to eat casually after class. There was a class on the principles of Western economics at 6:00. The courses in the School of Economics and Management were still relatively tight. The courses every day were almost full. Lin Jian was called as soon as she left the classroom. When she looked up, she found that it was the student union president, Su Qianqing. President Su, what's the matter? Lin Jian asked with some doubts. Nothing. I am also in class on this floor, and I just saw someone who looks like you. Su Qianqing smiled. I didn't expect it to be you. Hee hee. Lin Jian smiled. She was not very good at communicating with unfamiliar people, and she did not know how to reject others. So, she stood here and did not know what to say. How could Su Qianqing not know Lin Jian's character? He had already seen through Lin Jian. He was not in class here just now, but he had inquired about the location of Lin Jian's class in advance and had been waiting for Lin Jian here. However, he was afraid of being rude to the beauty, so he pretended to meet Lin Jian by chance and greeted her. Lin Jian was a simple person, so she naturally would not think so much. Su Qianqing saw that Lin Jian was embarrassed, so he would naturally guide Lin Jian to talk about some topics without seeming deliberate. Student Lin, how is your preparation for the art festival? Do you have any ideas? Sure enough, Lin Jian did not doubt it, nor did she doubt Su Qianqing's true purpose. I haven't thought about what to perform, and I have no idea in my heart. Lin Jian was telling the truth. Today, she studied with Yang Ming for a long time, and she did not know what she was good at. She had a weak temperament, and she did not like to perform in public. It would make her nervous. It turns out to be like this. It doesn't matter. Let's talk while walking. Su Qianqing smiled. Let's go downstairs together. I will give you an idea. Lin Jian hesitated for a moment, then nodded and agreed. Although she felt that it was not good to go with a strange boy, he was looking for her for a serious matter. It was about work, so Lin Jiyun could not refuse. So, she went downstairs with Su Qianqing, but there was still a certain distance between the two. Student Lin. Su Qianqing did not call Lin Jiyun like those annoying flies. He just called her Student Lin, which would not bring any disgust to Lin Jiyun. Instead, it made her feel that he was looking for her just for work. In Su Qianqing's view, if he wanted to pursue a girl like Lin Jiyun, he must take it slow. He couldn't be impatient. The result of being impatient would be to scare her. He had to admit that Su Qianqing was an observant person and a smart person. He saw through Lin Jiyun's character at once. When Yang Ming pursued Lin Jiyun, he also used this trick. It penetrated into her life little by little, and finally revealed the mystery. It made Lin Jiyun feel very natural and not too abrupt. Student Lin, the art festival is actually a literary and artistic joint performance of singing and dancing, acrobatics, martial arts, crosstalk, skit, and so on. It can also be said to be a small party. Su Qianqing said, "Our school's party is actually done by the students. It doesn't need to be so formal. As long as everyone participates and is satisfied, it will be fine. So, what you perform is not very important. You can sing a song, dance, play a tune, or even perform a little magic trick. In short, it's fine as long as you are good at it." "But, I don't seem to be good at it." Lin Jiyun listened to Su Qianqing's words and regretted promising him to participate in the artistic performance. Now that she thought about it carefully, she was really not good at anything. If you really can't do it, you can find a companion to perform with you on stage. Su Qianqing smiled and said, "Student Lin, in fact, what everyone values is your fame on the school forum BBS. No matter what you perform, your popularity will be very high." "Really?" Lin Jiyun didn't pay much attention to those things. "You said that I can perform with my companions?" "Yeah, the programs at the art festival are not all solo performances." Su Qianqing said, "Aren't chorus, dance groups, and so on performed by multiple people?" "Then, I will go back and think about it." Since Lin Jiyun had promised Su Qianqing before, it was not good to refuse at the moment. "Right, what are you going to do now?" Su Qianqing pretended to ask Lin Jiyun casually. I am going to the cafeteria to eat something now. There is a class at 6:00 in a while," said Lin Jiyun. "Just in time. I am going to the cafeteria, too. Let's go together," Su Qianqing said with a smile. He felt that today was really smooth. He originally wanted to treat Lin Jiyun to a meal, but it was a little difficult to ask. Now, there was no problem. Since Lin Jiyun said that she was going to the cafeteria to eat, it was reasonable for him to treat her to something when they arrived there. Okay. Lin Jiyun didn't want to go with him. She was afraid that it would cause misunderstandings among her classmates, but she didn't know how to refuse. After all, the other person made very ordinary and reasonable requests. If she behaved too unapproachable, it would not be very polite. Su Qianqing saw that Lin Jiyun agreed, and he was very happy. He only felt that if things went well, everything would go well. It was the same when he met Yang Ming at noon today. Originally, he was afraid that Yang Ming would not agree to participate in the art festival, but he did not expect that Yang Ming really agreed. Su Qianqing also planned to let Chen Mengyan, the vice president of the student union of the Department of Economics and Management, lobby Yang Ming, but he did not expect to use this relationship. Su Qianqing naturally knew that Chen Mengyan was Yang Ming's girlfriend. In the beginning, Zhou Ruoguang, the president of the student union of the Department of Economics and Management, coveted her, but he was fixed by Yang Ming. This year, for some reason, Zhou Ruoguang did not come to class. His position as the president of the student union was also replaced by the original vice president. The vacant vice president position was given to the hard-working Chen Mengyan. Su Qianqing just wanted to continue to say something, but there was a ringtone from Lin Jiyun's bag. Lin Jiyun made an apologetic gesture to Su Qianqing and took out the phone from the bag. Looking at the N97 in Lin Jiyun's hand, Su Qianqing's face changed slightly. Usually, Su Qianqing saw that Lin Jiyun's clothes were very simple, so he thought that her family was average, but he did not expect her to use such a high-end mobile phone. Most students used counterfeit phones that cost a few hundred yuan. There were still a few rich ones, but from Lin Jiyun's mobile phone, her family should not be very bad. It seems that my plan has to be adjusted. If I want to attract Lin Jiyun, I have to spend some money. Su Qianqing began to figure out how to change his plan in his heart. Hello? Lin Jiyun picked up the phone. Jiyun, where are you? Yang Ming's voice came from the phone, making Lin Jiyun happy. I am in the teaching building of the Department of Economics and Management. I just finished class, said Lin Jiyun. Oh. That's great. Let's go eat something together. I still have a class in the evening. Yang Ming said after listening. Okay. Lin Jiyun agreed without thinking. Then you come downstairs to the Department of Economics and Management and wait for me. I will go downstairs. Okay, see you later. After Yang Ming finished speaking, he hung up the phone. Who is it? Su Qianqing pretended to ask casually. He wanted to pursue Lin Jiyun, so he naturally had to talk to her about some topics in life. If he only talked about work, there was no way to establish a friendship. If he didn't establish a friendship, how could he establish love? President Su, I can't eat with you. Someone asked me out. Lin Jiyun naturally didn't want to say too much about her family matters to Su Qianqing. Oh. Your friend, right? Let's eat together. Su Qianqing didn't think that the person who called was Lin Jiyun's boyfriend. He only thought that it was her roommate or fellow countryman. No need, President Su. We can go by ourselves. Lin Jiyun shook her head and refused. Su Qianqing thought that Lin Jiyun was embarrassed, so he said, it doesn't matter. I will treat you. Your friend is also my friend. Maybe we can discuss it. You can perform together at the art festival. This sentence was in Lin Jiyun's heart. Just now, Su Qianqing said that she could find a companion to perform with her for the art festival. Lin Jiyun thought of Yang Ming. If Yang Ming could perform with her on the same stage, she would definitely not be nervous. Therefore, Lin Jiyun was tempted when Su Qianqing said that they should study the art festival together. But then she thought that Yang Ming had just returned. She hadn't gotten along with him enough. It was rare to have a chance to be alone with him. How could Lin Jiyun be willing to have an outsider? Although her character was weak, she didn't compete, and she wouldn't be jealous of anything. It didn't mean that she didn't like to be alone with Yang Ming. No matter how generous a girl was, it was impossible to be completely selfless. Even Chen Mengyan, who usually selflessly let Lin Jiyun and Zhou Jiejia get along with Yang Ming first, actually hoped that she could be with Yang Ming. Chapter 1303. Therefore, Lin Jiyun was hesitant now. She didn't know what to do. The two had already walked to the door. Yang Ming was standing on the steps not far away with a smile. When he saw Lin Jiyun, he waved to her. Jiyun, here. Su Qianqing thought that the friend in Lin Jiyun's mouth was a girl or her sister, but he didn't expect it to be a boy. Moreover, it was Yang Ming whom he knew. He frowned immediately. He didn't want to bring another guy with him when they were having a meal together later. That would affect the atmosphere and mood. If it was a girl, Su Qianqing naturally didn't mind. Anyway, it was Lin Jiyun's friend. If he had a good relationship with her friend, it was equivalent to integrating into her circle. In the future, her friend would help him speak up, killing two birds with one stone. But now the situation was completely different. What was the relationship between Yang Ming and Lin Jiyun? If the two were in a relationship, Su Qianqing wouldn't believe it. He knew that Chen Mengyan, the vice president of the Student Union of the Department of Economics and Management, was Yang Ming's girlfriend. This was a well-known thing in the student union. At that time, Zhou Ruoguang, the president of the student union of the Department of Economics and Management, had ideas about Chen Mengyan. The news that he was taught a lesson by Yang Ming had already spread inside the student union. As for the process of teaching a lesson, Chen Mengyan wouldn't say it. The person involved, Zhou Ruoguang, wouldn't say it in detail for his face. It was nothing more than being vague. Therefore, everyone didn't feel anything strange. At that time, Yang Ming beat up the school's taekwondo club's vice president, Ren Jianren, and Lu Zhaojun. Wasn't it easy to teach a lesson to Zhou Ruoguang? It was precisely because of this that Su Qianqing didn't show any hostility to Yang Ming. He didn't even think of him as a hindrance in his heart. In Su Qianqing's view, Lin Zhiyun might have something to talk about with Yang Ming, so they ate together. Lin Zhiyun looked at Yang Ming, and her heart was delighted. She quickened her pace, and her face also showed a rare smile. It was different from the previous cold beauty. Her face was like a peach blossom, which made Su Qianqing's heart skip a beat. He thought, sure enough, this woman should only exist in heaven. Even her occasional smile is so moving. How sharp was Yang Ming's vision? He originally wanted to hold Lin Zhiyun's hand directly, but he saw that Su Qianqing, the president of the school's student union, was following behind her. He couldn't help but frown secretly. It seemed that Su Qianqing should have gone downstairs with Lin Zhiyun. The two people went one after the other. Su Qianqing seemed to be saying something, but Yang Ming didn't pay attention and didn't read his lips. In school, Yang Ming wasn't unscrupulous. In any case, his relationship with Lin Zhiyun, Zhou Jiejia, Wang Xiaoyan, Sun Jia, and Xiao Qing couldn't be too obvious in front of others. After all, this was a school. There were his godfather and godsister here. Yang Ming couldn't hug them in school. If that was the case, he would be fine, but how would Lu Weishan and Xiao Qing behave in school? Gossip would definitely make them unable to raise their heads. Lin Zhiyun and Zhou Jiejia were even more so. His girlfriend in school was Chen Mengyan. Although he was usually close to Lin Zhiyun and Zhou Jiejia, he didn't have any intimate behavior in public, so others couldn't find fault with it. Moreover, Lin Zhiyun and Zhou Jiejia were good friends of Chen Mengyan, so no one would misunderstand anything when they were with Yang Ming. Most people would think that if there was really something between Lin Zhiyun and Zhou Jiejia and Yang Ming, then how could Chen Mengyan not know? How could she still maintain a friend relationship with Lin Zhiyun and Zhou Jiejia? Although Yang Ming didn't want to be so sneaky, Yang Ming didn't want Lin Zhiyun and Zhou Jiejia's peaceful university life to be disturbed by some gossip. His plan to buy a private island was already in progress. He believed that it wouldn't be long before he could do whatever he wanted in his own territory, and no one would interfere. In fact, if Yang Ming really built X Island into a resort, then which rich people who came here weren't tycoons with beautiful women in their arms? Who would care about Yang Ming's matters? Everyone was accustomed to it. Yang Ming, what a coincidence. Su Qianqing hesitated for a moment, and he had already made up his mind. Since this Yang Ming couldn't be avoided, he could only treat him together. Anyway, I have already treated him to a meal at noon. It doesn't matter if I treat him at night. I also have something to ask him. If I treat him at noon and treat him at night, I believe he has no reason to refuse to perform, right? Moreover, with Yang Ming on the side, Su Qianqing's reason for treating was even more justified. At that time, it could be said that it was because of the art festival. On behalf of the student union, he would treat the two most popular people among the students to a meal to discuss the art festival with them. Isn't this President Su? You just finished class, too? Yang Ming wasn't willing to say anything to Su Qianqing at the moment. He was anxious to eat with Lin Zhiyun, so he didn't have the mind to bother with him. He had been busy in Mount Jing for a long time, and he was already hungry. Yeah, I just finished class. Are you the one who just called Lin Zhiyun? Su Qianqing saw that Yang Ming called Lin Zhiyun, and he knew that he was the one who called. Just in time. I just told Lin Jian that we should eat something together and study the school art festival. Do you want to join us? Didn't we already agree on the art festival at noon? Yang Ming frowned. He didn't believe that this guy was so serious and responsible for his work. Could it be that he had other crooked thoughts? Looking at his eyes on Lin Jian, there was some covetousness. Could it be that he was thinking about her? However, most male students looked at Lin Jian with this kind of appreciation and covetousness, so it was not a big deal. The love for beautiful women was a man's nature. It couldn't be said that Su Qianqing was thinking about Lin Jian now. Aren't the details not finalized yet? When Su Qianqing heard Yang Ming's meaning, he knew that he wanted to exclude himself. How could Su Qianqing agree to eat with Lin Jian alone? Then, let's go together. Yang Ming saw that he insisted, and he also wanted to see what his intentions were, so he agreed. Where are we going to eat? Where were you planning to go? Su Qianqing didn't say it immediately but asked. His wishful thinking was very good. He wanted to ask Yang Ming where he planned to take Lin Jian to eat first, and then he would take them to a higher class place so that he could highlight his status. He didn't pick up girls like those vulgar people who didn't have standards. His standards were high. He was not jealous on the surface, but he did these things to elevate himself and belittle others in the dark. He guessed that Yang Ming would definitely say the name of a small restaurant near the school, or just go to the school cafeteria to eat, so Su Qianqing could say, "Why are we going to the school cafeteria? Let's find a restaurant. My treat." Or, "Why are we going to the XX restaurant? The food there is not good. Let's go to the XX restaurant. My treat." Although this was not a sentence to belittle the other party, it actually meant that. It was unknowingly elevating his own status. When Yang Ming heard Su Qianqing's question, he guessed that this guy was not a good person. "You are treating, so we will go wherever you say. Why are you asking us where we are going?" Yang Ming snorted and immediately saw through this guy's scheme. "You want to compete with Yang Ming with these things? Yang Ming can be my ancestor." Yang Ming did not show any displeasure on the surface. He smiled slightly and said naturally, "We are going to the Songjiang International Hotel." "Why are we going to the Songjiang International Hotel?" Ugh. Su Qianqing had already thought of an excuse, so when Yang Ming finished speaking, he subconsciously blurted out the words that he had set. However, he immediately stopped halfway. It was because he couldn't continue to speak. The Songjiang International Hotel was the only 5-star hotel in Songjiang. Many foreign guests stayed there. Su Qianqing really couldn't find a better hotel than the Songjiang International Hotel. After the Songjiang International Hotel was newly renovated and upgraded, it was considered a first-class hotel in the province. However, Su Qianqing really didn't believe that Yang Ming could go to the Songjiang International Hotel, thinking that he was just bragging. Although Su Qianqing didn't think that Yang Ming could develop a relationship with Lin Jian, boys at this age would always look forward to some small ambiguous relationship with beautiful girls other than their girlfriends. No one would mind this. Su Qianqing believed that Yang Ming thought that he was a hindrance, so he said this. So, he smiled and said, "Okay, the Songjiang International Hotel it is. Let's go here. My treat." The cost of the Songjiang International Hotel was not low. When Yang Ming took Zhao Ying to slaughter Jin Gang before the renovation, Jin Gang spent a lot of money. Now, it was more than twice as expensive, and many famous dishes were added. However, Su Qianqing's father was the boss of Songjiang Mining. His family was rich, and he usually gave Su Qianqing a lot of pocket money. But even so, Su Qianqing couldn't just casually take out tens of thousands of yuan to eat. How much pocket money did he have in a year? It was just that this time, in order to win a good impression in front of Lin Jian, Su Qianqing gritted his teeth and decided to spend money. "Let's eat at school. Why are we going so far?" Lin Jian was a little surprised and looked at Yang Ming. "Don't we still have class later?" Seeing Lin Jian's surprised expression, Su Qianqing was even more convinced. He thought that Yang Ming was bluffing. What, going to the Songjiang International Hotel? Lin Jiyun's expression had already betrayed everything. Lin Jiyun didn't know, so Yang Ming was definitely talking nonsense. It doesn't matter. It's only 4:30. Class starts at 6:00. There is still more than an hour. We don't drink. We can still make it. Su Qianqing judged in his heart. If they really went to the Songjiang International Hotel, it couldn't be helped if they couldn't make it back in time. Lin Jiyun couldn't insist on leaving. Then, let's go, Jiyun. Yang Ming glanced at Lin Jiyun and said. Yang Ming could now be sure that this Su Qianqing should have other intentions in addition to looking for him and Lin Jiyun to study the art festival. Otherwise, no matter how high the student union's funding was, it was impossible to allow them to eat and drink in a hotel at the level of the Songjiang International Hotel. The cost of a meal was tens of thousands of yuan or even hundreds of thousands of yuan. The school's leaders couldn't let Su Qianqing do such a thing. Therefore, since the student union didn't spend money, there was only one possibility. That was, Su Qianqing spent money himself. Yang Ming wouldn't think that Su Qianqing would treat him and Lin Jiyun to such an expensive meal for an art festival. It was simply illogical. Moreover, it seemed that Su Qianqing was not targeting Yang Ming, but Lin Jiyun. In other words, Su Qianqing had been thinking about Lin Jiyun since the beginning. The appearance of Yang Ming was just an accident. Thinking of this, Yang Ming was a little unhappy, but he didn't show anything on his face. For people like Su Qianqing, he couldn't use those ordinary means. It wouldn't have any effect if he threatened him. He relied on his identity as the school's student union president, so he would definitely make an issue from the school's point of view. Lin Jiyun and Chen Mengyan were different. Su Qianqing and Zhou Ruoguang were also different. Chen Mengyan was Yang Ming's legitimate girlfriend, and Zhou Ruoguang was not a good person. So, when Bai Hai taught him a lesson, he couldn't say anything. First, it was natural for Yang Ming to take action for his girlfriend. Second, it wasn't Yang Ming himself who was looking for trouble, but Bai Hai. But Su Qianqing was different. He was the school's student union president, which was very different from Zhou Ruoguang, who was a department chairman. Zhou Ruoguang was at most in contact with the school's department secretary, while Su Qianqing was in contact with the principal and the school committee. Obviously, he was at a higher level. Moreover, Su Qianqing and Zhou Ruoguang also had essential differences. Su Qianqing was gentle, so Yang Ming couldn't use vulgar methods to deal with him. Moreover, in most people's eyes, Yang Ming's girlfriend was Chen Mengyan, not Lin Jiyun. Those who knew that Lin Jiyun was Yang Ming's girlfriend were only Gu Xinyao, Jing Xiaolu, and a few others. It was not publicized in the school, so it wouldn't be a big deal if Yang Ming beat up Su Qianqing because of Lin Jiyun. Yang Ming was now a lot more mature. He was no longer the gangster style of solving problems with only his fists. He wanted to let Su Qianqing know the difficulties and retreat, so Yang Ming satisfied his proposal. Okay then. Lin Jiyun saw that Yang Ming said so she nodded and agreed. Su Qianqing listened to Yang Ming's words and Lin Jiyun agreed. He was a little upset. Why is Yang Ming's words so effective? I have talked for a long time, but I can't even match a sentence from Yang Ming. What is the relationship between Yang Ming and Lin Jiyun? However, although Su Qianqing had doubts, he couldn't ask. After all, if he asked this question now, it would be completely annoying behavior. Not only would Lin Jiyun and Yang Ming not answer him, but Lin Jiyun would also hate him and suspect that he had bad intentions, so Su Qianqing would not do such a thing. It's okay. I have a car. I can definitely make it in time. Su Qianqing added a sentence with a smile. This sentence was just right. There was no suspicion of showing off at all, but he did want to show off to Lin Jiyun that he had a car. Su Qianqing's family conditions were good. He used his New Year's money to buy a car. It was a cheetah off-road vehicle, which was very impressive. Although the price was not expensive, the appearance of the car that looked like the Mitsubishi Chevrolet improved the grade of this car a lot. In fact, the cheetah car was produced with some of Mitsubishi's technology. Su Qianqing replaced the car's logo with Mitsubishi's. Ordinary people really couldn't see through the appearance. They all thought that it was an original Mitsubishi car. However, Yang Ming didn't agree with this kind of self-deceiving approach. It didn't make any sense. Get in the car. Su Qianqing remotely started his car, then pointed to his cheetah off-road vehicle and said, "This car can run on any road. The off-road vehicle is better. Although the sedan is good-looking, how can it have this performance?" "I think so too." Yang Ming nodded and said with a smile, "So you still have to buy an off-road vehicle when you buy a car." Yang Ming is also a person who knows cars. When Su Qianqing heard Yang Ming say this, he thought that Yang Ming was praising himself. He was a little happy. "Yeah, so I bought an off-road vehicle. This car is actually not expensive. 180 to 90,000 yuan, which is about the same price as a mid-range sedan." Although he said this, his words couldn't hide his pride. When he talked about the excitement, he couldn't help but lower his voice. "Moreover, the license plate of my car is an official car. My dad used his connections to get it for me. Generally, the traffic police won't intercept it." The reason why Su Qianqing said this was not to show off his license plate in front of Yang Ming and Lin Jian, because there was nothing to show off. It was just a car license plate. The key point of his sentence was that his family background was not ordinary. His father must be a capable person. Otherwise, he couldn't get this license plate. Su Qianqing revealed his family background without leaving any trace, so people didn't feel any disgust. Unlike some prodigal sons, who directly said, "What is my father? What is my uncle?" This would only make people annoyed and despise them. However, like now, Su Qianqing didn't say it directly, but just hinted that his father used his connections to do something. Although he didn't say how capable his father was, if he wasn't capable, how could he ask someone to do something? Really? That's quite badass. Yang Ming smiled and shrugged. "However, I didn't violate the rules. I don't need this license plate, right?" Su Qianqing didn't know that Yang Ming was telling the truth, but he thought that Yang Ming was sour grapes. So, he smiled and said, "When you really drive, you will know. This Songjiang's lane is not easy to drive, especially now that the road is still under construction. There are some odd-even numbers and so on. The subway in the coastal area also needs to be expanded. Many roads can't be taken." "Really? I really didn't pay attention to it." Yang Ming smiled and agreed. "How can it not be? You see, when we go to the Songjiang International Hotel in a while, there is a one-way road. If we don't go in the opposite direction, we have to take a long detour, so sometimes you have to violate the rules." Su Qianqing smiled. Chapter 1304. Yang Ming smiled noncommittally. In this case, Su Qianqing was not wrong. Sometimes, he would unconsciously violate the rules. However, Yang Ming had not been stopped by anyone. Perhaps it was because of his license plate or the pass made by Captain Yang. Maybe. Yang Ming nodded. "You will know when you drive the car. If you don't drive, you can't experience it. It's really difficult." Su Qianqing smiled and patted Yang Ming's shoulder. "Maybe my driving experience is too short." Yang Ming smiled and remotely drove his BMW X5 parked not far from Su Qianqing's cheetah. "How about we all sit in my car?" Su Qianqing looked at the BMW X5 with flashing taillights not far away. His face was as funny as it could be. He looked at the scene in front of him with some disbelief. This car is Yang Ming's? Although he didn't believe it, the facts were in front of him. How could he not believe his eyes? In the university, there were many students who drove, but there were definitely not many. In a school, it was amazing to have 8 or 10. Of course, it referred to undergraduate students. Graduate students and doctoral students were excluded. Many graduate students and doctoral students had jobs or even their own companies outside, so it was not surprising that they drove to school, just like Sun Jie. However, among undergraduate students, there were very few who could drive. The original Wang Jitao was one, Zhang Bin was another, Sun Jiwei was another, and no one else could. Therefore, when Su Qianqing saw Yang Ming's BMW X5, his expression was so complicated. When it came to the grade of the two cars, even a fool could see it. Su Qianqing naturally knew that Yang Ming's car could buy several of his cars. At this time, he had not seen Yang Ming's license plate number. Otherwise, his expression would be more interesting. This is your car? Su Qianqing still didn't believe it. After Yang Ming was in the limelight, the school's newspaper followed and interviewed Yang Ming for a while. If Yang Ming really drove a BMW to school, how could the school's newspaper not report it? But there was no similar news at that time. Therefore, Su Qianqing couldn't help but ask. If the car was not Yang Ming's, and he just borrowed it, then Su Qianqing didn't have to be too embarrassed. Yeah, I also think that the SUV is better, right? Yang Ming said with a smile, Zhiyun and I will go together. You lead the way, President Su. Su Qianqing's lungs were about to explode. He wanted to show off in front of Yang Ming and Lin Zhiyun, but he didn't expect to show off properly. Now, Yang Ming took the initiative to let Lin Zhiyun sit in his car. Even if Su Qianqing wanted to let Lin Zhiyun sit in his car, it was impossible. If he said it at this moment, it was obviously arguing with Yang Ming. Thinking of this, Su Qianqing nodded depressingly and said, okay, but you have to follow me. If there is a traffic jam, I will turn on the siren. You can't keep up. Although he said this, Su Qianqing still hoped that Yang Ming couldn't keep up. Now, the model of the car was not as good as Yang Ming's. He could only show off his privilege to Yang Ming, but he was still a little weak. But now, Su Qianqing couldn't do anything. He had to get in the car and start the car very depressingly. Watching Yang Ming and Lin Zhiyun get in the BMW X5 together, he was extremely upset. Looking at the license plate of Yang Ming's car behind, Su Qianqing's heart jumped again. What number is this? All 8s? But when he looked carefully, he found that there were 2 BS, not 8s. It was just that it looked like an 8s from a distance. But even so, this license plate was not cheap. Su Qianqing was even more annoyed. Why does this Yang Ming look more like a rich second generation than me? This car and the license plate are not cheap. Why haven't Su Qianqing heard of it before? Could it be that Yang Ming really wants to hit on Lin Zhiyun? Su Qianqing had heard that some rich young masters always changed girlfriends, and even maintained relationships with several women at the same time. Those girls were also vain and pretended not to know. Therefore, Su Qianqing became angrier as he thought about it. Lin Zhiyun is a simple person. Don't be fooled by Yang Ming. Originally, he didn't have much thoughts about Yang Ming, but now he was full of hostility. Su Qianqing secretly thought, so what if the license plate number is all 8s? Although there is number 8s in my license plate, there is still a 4s, but it is a privileged number. I will let you suffer a hidden loss. Thinking of this, Su Qianqing secretly formed a small plan in his heart. In a while, I must go on the wrong side of the road. I hope that there is a traffic police on duty there. At that time, my car can go over, and Yang Ming's car will definitely be intercepted. After the interception, I will go to the rescue, so that I can highlight my status. This is the so-called pretentious moment. When watching some TV series, the male lead will appear at the most critical moment to solve the problem, and then get the admiration of the female lead. Su Qianqing studied this very clearly. Now, if he wanted to get back his face, he must do something better than Yang Ming. Even if he couldn't help Yang Ming out, he could let Yang Ming stay there to be dealt with, and he would take Lin Jian to eat. No matter what, he would not suffer a loss. So after Su Qianqing made up his mind, he secretly decided to do so. Jian, did he just look for you in class? Yang Ming drove behind Su Qianqing and asked Lin Jian. No. Lin Jian shook her head. I just finished class, and he seemed to have just finished class. He stopped me and said that he met me. Yang Ming nodded. Lin Jian naturally wouldn't have those messy thoughts. How would she know Su Qianqing's sinister intentions? So, he said, this Su Qianqing may want to pursue you. You should be careful. It can't be, right? Lin Jian was shocked, and her face was red. She waved her little hand in front of her in panic. I have nothing to do with him, of course, I won't doubt that you have anything to do with him. Yang Ming smiled and held Lin Jian's hand. How can I doubt you? I just want you to be wary of him. Then, I will stay away from him in the future. Lin Jian nodded. Or, I won't participate in this art festival. You have signed up. You can participate. Yang Ming smiled. He didn't want Lin Jian to feel that he monopolized her interests and even interfered with her study life. Right, President Su said that we can find a partner for the art festival program. Why don't we both perform together? Asked Lin Jian. This is fine. Then, let's go on stage together. Yang Ming naturally agreed. He planned to do so initially. Since Lin Jian had stage fright, he would accompany her on stage. Seeing that Su Qianqing's cheetah in front of him actually turned into a one-way road, Yang Ming suddenly frowned. Now is the time to get off work. It is the time when there is a lot of traffic. What is this Su Qianqing doing? There are so many cars on the road, but he is actually going against the traffic? However, Yang Ming hesitated and followed. Since he was willing to go like this, it would be inappropriate if he didn't follow. Anyway, Su Qianqing's car was in front to open the road. He just had to follow, and there was no need to clash with the opposite car. Su Qianqing was originally afraid that Yang Ming would not follow. When he saw that Yang Ming also turned in and followed behind him, Su Qianqing suddenly breathed a sigh of relief. Since Yang Ming came in, it was easy to handle. Seeing that there were traffic police on duty not far ahead, Su Qianqing thought, wait for your bad luck in a while. However, even so, Su Qianqing's heart was still a little perturbed. His license plate was indeed the license plate of Song Jiang's official car. It was indeed very useful to occasionally violate the rules. Under normal circumstances, the traffic police would not intercept it. However, it was the first time for Su Qianqing to drive against the traffic on such a one-way road with such a large traffic flow. As long as the official license plate was not too excessive, the traffic police would not care. However, in this kind of blatant reverse situation, Su Qianqing didn't know if the traffic police would give him face, but he thought that it should be given. For Su Qianqing's behavior of driving against the traffic, the vehicles that were driving normally complained. The one-way road was narrow, and there were 3 lanes. You took up one lane when you drove against the traffic. We were already stuck in traffic, so it was even more congested. However, Su Qianqing didn't care about this. In order to be pretentious, he turned on the police horn on the car and began to honk wildly. However, this had an effect. The cars in the opposite direction also took the initiative to give way. He is doing something wrong. Lin Jian frowned. Apparently, not only was she not excited about Su Qianqing's practice, but she felt a little ashamed. Who knows what he is thinking? Yang Ming shrugged. Yang Ming also violated the rules, just like today's speeding. However, he was indeed doing something. It was considered to be performing official duties, so it was understandable. However, Yang Ming was also very disgusted with Su Qianqing's privilege just to eat a meal. He found it a little funny in his heart. He thought, you are showing off in front of Jing Xiaolu. She may look at you differently, but you are purely looking for contempt in front of Lin Jian. Su Qianqing didn't think so. He thought that girls liked boys who were in the limelight. As he was proud, a traffic police came in front and stopped his car. Su Qianqing was stunned, but when he remembered that his license plate belonged to the official car segment, he was not nervous. He opened the window and asked the traffic police, "What's wrong?" "Sir, this is a one-way road. You should go back." The traffic police still gave face to Su Qianqing's license plate. He didn't punish him but just let him go back. After all, this road was very long. Su Qianqing just came in, so it was more convenient to reverse out. However, if he kept going like this, it would be a bit too eye-catching. If it were normal times, Su Qianqing would just reverse out. It was not a big deal. Now, the situation was reversed. It was indeed a bit suspicious of looking for trouble. But now, Su Qianqing was pretending to be a badass in front of Lin Jian. If he backed out with his tail between his legs, he would lose his face. Lin Jian would definitely despise him, and his bragging would be in vain. Therefore, Su Qianqing had to bite the bullet and said, "I have something urgent to do." "It is too far to take a detour, oh?" The traffic police was stunned. He didn't know what Su Qianqing had to do. However, some official cars did have the possibility of urgent matters, so the traffic police nodded, but said, "Sir, then let me see your license plate." Generally, people who opened this kind of license plate were in the system or various agencies. There were also some high-level officials of state-owned enterprises. However, there were also plates that were made through connections, which couldn't be banned. It was just that most of the plates made through connections were lent out. They couldn't get a license plate because the license plate was personal. It couldn't be registered. Su Qianqing was like this. How could he have a license plate? The traffic police saw his hesitation, and he guessed it in his heart, but he still asked, "Can you show me your ID?" "I forgot to bring it." Su Qianqing had to bite the bullet. "Sir, you can't show your license, and you don't have valid documents to prove your identity. We can only temporarily detain your car. Please bring all the documents to the traffic police team tomorrow for processing," said the traffic police to Su Qianqing. Su Qianqing didn't expect this traffic police to not give him face. He was a little annoyed, but he had no way to vent. He didn't know that he had already put the cart before the horse in his heart. The traffic police gave him face because there were indeed some cars that were for official business. He didn't deliberately violate traffic rules by making a special license plate. The traffic police gestured to a traffic police officer next to him and asked him to come over and drive Su Qianqing's car away. Then, he walked over to Yang Ming's car. Yang Ming saw the conversation between Su Qianqing and the traffic police clearly, and he was very amused. This guy really didn't know how to pretend, and he made a mistake. Seeing that the traffic police came to him again, Yang Ming was not worried. The traffic police originally wanted to check Yang Ming's ID, but he saw that the pass on Yang Ming's front windshield was issued by the Donghai Police Department. It belonged to an internal ID in the system. In their opinion, it was more effective than the local official license plates of Songjiang, so they didn't check it. Yang Ming saw that Su Qianqing's car was going to be detained, and he was somewhat helpless. However, he couldn't ignore him at this moment. He still had to let him treat him to a meal. Yang Ming let Su Qianqing back off in the face of difficulties. He would talk about it later. If he let him back off now, then it wouldn't have a deterrent effect. So Yang Ming opened the window and said to the traffic police, "Police brother, the cheetah in front is with us. Can you let him go first?" The traffic police originally saw the pass on Yang Ming's car, so he didn't intend to care about Yang Ming's car. However, he didn't expect Yang Ming to let the cheetah in front of him go. He was a little angry and couldn't help but ask, "Which department are you from?" Yang Ming was slightly stunned, but he didn't expect this traffic police to be so angry. However, he understood after thinking about it a little. It must be that Su Qianqing's previous attitude was not good, which made him angry. Yang Ming took out an ID from his pocket, but it was the military ID that Xia Bingbao gave him. He got off the car and handed it to the traffic police. The traffic police was slightly stunned. He originally thought that Yang Ming was the same as Su Qianqing in front of him, a prodigal son who relied on his family's wealth and power, but it didn't seem to be the same thing. Glancing at the ID in his hand, the traffic police's face changed slightly. Yang Ming's ID was not the same as the general military ID. However, I don't know which department Captain Xia's boyfriend is from, but he seems to be very powerful. You tell me about the mysterious traffic accident. The traffic police apparently also heard the rumors of the case. He suddenly became interested and asked quickly. Wait until you get off work. Let's talk about it when we have time. The old traffic police put on airs. Brother Zhang, I will treat you to a meal after work. Let's talk while eating. Said the traffic police quickly. You're tuning into the Romantic Tales YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.